Friday, you bastard.
I read the evening news, I do, on CBS most every night. But now there's strife because of a report I read the other night. My name is Dan Rather. Somebody called me up and took my time. He said, I've got some dirt on Bush. And I said, fine. Imagine how it's gonna change some voters' minds. Because I'm Dan Rather. I don't think that George Bush is telling the truth about his life. When you watch me, I'll be providing the proof. He's telling lies. Me and Bush and Bush and me. No matter if those documents are forgeries. If one of us has gotta go, it won't be me. Because I'm Dan Rather, a CBS anchor. Yes, I am Dan Rather, the right wing's in a lather. Because I'm Dan Rather, just ignore all their blather. Because I'm Dan Rather.
What we're doing.
Yeah, what are you doing? Killing a lot of people, I know that. 10:02 at 560 WQM. Happy Friday. Last show in September. All right. That exciting?
It is, sort of.
I don't know why.
I don't know.
Man, years just flying by. Before you know it, it's going to be Election Day. 5.5 weeks. Aren't you excited about that? We're going to have our first governor, at least out of the closet. How about that Mark Foley story? We'll get to that in a little bit.
Good.
That suspicious email to a 16-year-old boy. Hey, Mark, we got enough problems already. Cut the crap. You're right about this fax. It's a decent poll suggestion, which I'm very profusely grateful, but at the end of it, it says, for today's poll, I nominate Walter Cronkite. Well, Walter's not a celebrity. He was a news guy,
Yeah, we're trying not to go there.
Right. Well, we already did that. We've already been there. We already agreed that, if you're a firm Zionist, then Wolf Blitzkrieg is your most trusted. Right?
Right.
Keith Olbermann and Jack Cafferty, I would say, probably, right? Our most trusted
right, if you're going to get into that
people time. I mean, Walter's not working anymore last time I checked. I mean, he's making a lot of guest appearances with Larry. Larry wasn't on last night. He had Ryan Seacrest on there hosting, and the guest was Ashton Kutcher Koo. I guess it's just a coincidence that new movie's coming out with very boring and terminally ponderous Kevin Costner and Ashton Kutcher Koo. What's it called?
The Guardian.
The Guardian. Ooh, I got to miss that.
Mm-hmm.
As far as today's poll is concerned, I see there's one other vote for James Franco. Leave him alone, okay?
You got dibs?
He's on the bottom. And I'm sure it would be the first time. I got dibs, right.
Is that like fruit on the bottom yogurt?
Just relax. Yeah, are you starting in with him again? Now, you didn't even see Tristan Azul. You saw Flyboy.
No, I wrote it down, though. I'm going to get it. I'll download it or something.
What? You'll steal
Tristan and Isolde.
It's worth watching. You would like it. It's good.
I'll give it a shot. It's got a sword in it, right?
Yeah, it's got a few swords. He had a sword. I can't figure out, though, who the hell the actor was that played his stepbrother, who looked damn near as good as he did. I can't find I'm looking at the cast there on IMDb, and I can't figure it out. And the problem being, who knows the names of all those medieval Brits and Irishmen? Who can figure out those names? I mean, like, how many people do you know named Tristan, right?
None anymore.
And Isolde?
Yeah, used to hear it a lot, but not anymore.
What, Isolde? Yeah, when I was in Florida, I used to hear that all the time. Anyway, here's our poll from yesterday. 1,848 people checked in on this deal. Have you ever had a homosexual experience? Now, let's see. The first time we did this, we had 900 and some odd. So we had like twice the votes. Twice the people check in, which means we've got double the audience, Joel. Anybody believe in that?
No.
Oh. Well, it sounds good, though, doesn't it? Where the hell is it? Oh, here. Where do you get most of your news? I shouldn't be saving these old polls, should I? Oh, here it is. The first time we did this homo poll, we had 947 votes. This time we got 1,848. Damn near double. How do you like that? Absolutely not. 591. Now, the first time we did this, 548. But the interesting thing is, well, the first time we didn't have that on there. So if you put those two together in our current poll, you got about 63%, 57.8% the first time said, absolutely not. You faggot, you maricon, you bugarron, you. So that's not that far apart, the percentages. Now, the current poll, done it a few times, 201. Still, practice makes perfect. Yes, once, 182. The first time, yes, once, 105. Huh. Of course I'm Hispanic, 144. That's 32 more than the first time we done it, only percentage is way down. Almost 12% of the audience said that in the first poll. This time only 7.7%. Either because we've lost a lot of our Hispanic listeners because you keep picking on Mira's greasy ass, or because of the fact that they just aren't doing it as much. It's not as PC anymore. Right. Yes, I'm gay, 81. We had 77 the first time, but out of half of the votes. So the percentage the first time we done the poll, about 3-4 years ago, was 8.1%. Now it's only 4.3%, which means we're branching out, which is good. We don't just want to have that gay, audience. We like everybody to be listening, but that's like when I was at KAT. And Bob Allen, rest in peace, the sales manager, used to just get hysterical. We're the Jewish station. Everybody you try to sell, we're the Jewish station. Well, there's a lot of old Jews out there, and believe me, if we have a sale on mezuzahs, probably be doing a land office business. The Jewish station, KAT. And, of course, who the hell else was listening? Now, back in that day, the beach was totally different than it is now. Your people hadn't invaded yet. Or my people. Well, some of my people. The old Jews. Anyway, yes, I'm gay, 81. I hate this poll, 41. I'm bi. We added these two categories at the very end. I'm bi, 15, which I'm sure in one of those upper categories would like yes once, more than once, whatever. 15 said they're bi. In other words, if they want it, they got to buy it. And I'm a screamer. 6. We got 6 claimers out there. Screamers. Can you hear them screaming? You can hear them screaming all over town. That's it. Yeah.
That was an echo.
Was it?
Yeah.
Good echo. Now, let's see. What about the poll today? It's a very lame poll, and you can see by the result. And I agree with that, but you know what? Like you said, it's a poll. Who cares? And we got 888. That's great, 888.
But the reasons keep changing.
Oh. I know. Oh, he's talking about the reasons for that illegal invasion of Iraq. They keep making it up as they go along. It's the war on terror. 888. Who is your most trusted celebrity? And the reason I did this is because of that. Look, if it's good enough for Forbes magazine, man, it should be good enough for this audience. They don't like it, though.
Let's steal their polls.
None. 283. None. And that's good. That's a very good answer. That wasn't my answer. I was tempted to vote for that because the premise is stupid. Why should we trust celebrities? Right. What do they know? Huh?
It's what I voted for.
What a stupid-ass question. But like I said, if it's good enough for a prestigious Forbes magazine, it's good enough for our crowd. None, 283. Good for you. 32% of this crowd says, we don't trust celebrities just because they can act or they can, get naked or whatever it is they do. We don't trust them. I hate this poll, 116, 13%. And I don't blame you. I think the poll sucks. But it's a poll. I know guys like that. They're not that choosy, man. Any poll's a good poll. George Clooney, 70. Oh, boy. No comment. I've already said enough about him, haven't I?
Yes.
Michael J. Fox, 55. Ron Howard, 49. Opie. Morgan Freeman, 48. Tom Hanks, 48. Susan Sarandon, 36. George Carlin, we added him on late, and we apologize for that, 34. But he's zooming up the list. Rachel Ray, 32. James Earl Jones, 27. We trust him because he's got a big, deep voice. Is that a good reason to trust somebody?
Sure.
Oprah, 27. Mel Gibson, 21. Oh, my God. Practically on the eve of Yom Kippur. 21 people said their most trusted celebrity is Mel Gibson. Man. They'd like to go out drinking with him and share some anti-Semitic jokes. Jane Fonda, 15. Denzel Washington, 13. Reese Witherspoon, 7. I trust her if I get to know her husband a little bit. Sean Penn, late edition, he's got 5. And James Franco has only got a pair out of 903 votes. Boy, we already got 903 and we just came on the air. How do you like that, huh? He's only got 2, me and some other fool out there, some other queen, James Franco. Tristan and his old Flyboys, that horrible TV show Freaks and Geeks. Boy, oh boy, I got to burn that. You'll like this.
All right.
This is so typical. Lawrence, Kansas. There's when you think of Yahoo places, we always think of like the Carolinas or the Dakotas.
I don't.
But Kansas, man, they're like
That's
in
right.
the Stone Age.
Yeah, they are.
A judge who struck down a Dover, Pennsylvania school board's decision to teach intelligent design in public schools said he was stunned by the reaction, which included death threats and a week of protection by federal marshals. Pennsylvania U.S. District Judge John E. Jones III told an audience in Lawrence Tuesday that the case illustrated why judges must issue rulings free of political whims or hopes of receiving a favor. In his 139-page decision last year, Jones ruled that the Dover School Board intended to promote religion when it instituted a policy requiring students to hear a statement about intelligent design before 9th grade biology lessons on evolution. Intelligent design. Saying we see him and we know that there's no intelligent design. He ruled that it's unconstitutional to teach intelligent design as an alternative to evolution. And if you would have told me when I got on the bench 4 years ago that I would have death threats in a case like this, as opposed to, for example, a crack cocaine case where I mete out a heavy sentence, I would have told you were crazy, he said. But I did get him, and that's a sad statement. Jones's ruling drew attention in Kansas, which was involved in a controversy over evolution last year after the Kansas State Board of Education inserted criticisms of evolution of the state science standards. The judge spoke at the University of Kansas Difficult Dialogues at the Commons series, which includes several speakers who will discuss the evolution and intelligent design debate. On Tuesday, Jones didn't focus on that debate, but instead discussed the fallout, including the death threats and a verbal lashing from conservative pundits around the country. He said much of the criticism showed a lack of understanding about the role of judges, who said the rules should be based on the Constitution and legal precedents, not on personal whims or political favors. Or religious fanatics, too, we might add that in there. That's just my own additional comment. Religious fanatics. Right. Crazy people. Mm-hmm. You see, religious nut, run like a son of a bitch and call the police, okay? Call anybody. Call for help. Call for Philip Morris. Don't forget, LSMFT, Lucky Strike, means fine tobacco.
Is that what it means?
That's what they used to tell us on TV before they banned those faggot ads.
Didn't cartoons do cigarette ads in those days?
They did?
Fred and Barney.
Did cigarette ads, Fred and Barney? When the hell was that? Before I was born.
Saw videos of that.
Get out of here.
Before you were born, I doubt that.
No. I'm just joking. Fred and Barney did cigarette spots?
Yeah. I'll have to get you a copy.
I'll be damned. 12 minutes after 10 at 560 WQM. It's a Friday. We got Mad Dog at the Hooters in Pembroke Pines at 2. And then the Power Hour with Hank and the Mad Dog between 4 and 5. The Humper in New York from 5 to 7. Marlins on deck at 7. Marlins and the Phillies at 7:35. A totally meaningless last 3 games of the season here. But it's a home game, right, Josh?
Yes, it is.
And I'm guarantee you there'll be a tremendous crowd there. Panthers kicked Chicago's ass last night in an exhibition game at the Mac Arena. I think 6-3 was the final score, I do believe. And how many people were attendance to that game?
About 30, man.
Looked pretty slim and grim. Well, what do you got to put on a good act, and then maybe they'll come out and see it, especially if you give the tickets all away for free. Hey, all you horse racing fans and poker players, Pompano Park Racing and Poker's got all the plunging action you could ever want. Just a half mile from both I-95 and the Turnpike, so it's easy to get to. Pompano Park features free admission and free general parking every single day. Live harness racing in the poker room open every Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, including today. Poker gets underway from noon, goes on till midnight, and live racing gets underway at 7:25 in the p.m. Every live racing day like today, the smoke-free poker room at Pompano Park features tournament action all day and all night. Come and enjoy a great $9.95 all-you-can-eat prime rib buffet on the 4th floor in the players' room. All you have to do is show your Power Player reward card to get their special offer, or sign up for a free card. It's a free membership, and every time you make a wager on the races or play poker and show your card, you'll be earning points for free items like betting vouchers, programs, valet parking, and lots of other things. And don't forget Dollar Night every Wednesday when draft beer, sodas, hot dogs, popcorn, and large pretzels, just $1 a piece at Pompano Park. And coming up Saturday, October 7th, that's a week from tomorrow, it's Think Pink Night with special fundraising events to help raise money for the American Cancer Society for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Pompano Park, a block south of Atlantic Boulevard on Powerline Road. For the current racing schedule, go on the web at pompanopark.com or give them a call at 954-972-2000.
The biggest names, the best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
No. It's Friday, you bastard.
We are the new Christianity. George Bush is our Christ and King. We are a land of ignorant mugwumps. Praise to thee, our Prince of Dumbness. To sacrifice we must ingest the body and blood of Falwell's flesh. Bush is Lord and giver of life, Hosanna in the highest. Bush is Lord and giver of life, Hosanna in the highest, Hosanna in the highest, Hosanna in the highest. Blessed is the Bush of dumbness, worship Bush or die, worship Bush or die, worship Bush or die.
10:18.
So that we can target.
At 560 WQAM. Oh, 930 votes on today's poll. Aren't you impressed?
I am.
And James Franco is still on the bottom there. Franco-American trout with the yogurt on the bottom. Or is it yogurt with trout on the bottom? Whatever it is. He's got a pair. Police find meth in man's prosthetic leg.
Well, where would you keep it?
Rectum.
Jay, Oklahoma. Jay. You ever been in Jay?
No. Have you?
Yo, Jay. Wait, what?
All right. Jay, Oklahoma. Sheriff's deputies have arrested a Grove man on drug charges after finding crystal methamphetamine inside his pathetic leg.
Oh!
Larry Clinton Harper, 64, was arrested at his business, Harper's Used Cars and Body Shop, last week. During a search, deputies found drugs inside a sock-like covering inside Harper's prosthetic legs, said Delaware County Sheriff's Captain Larry Barnett. They just tumbled out, and he just laughed, Barnett said. He said he thought he was pulling the wool over our eyes, but we had the last laugh. The arrest followed successful drug buys from Harper's business, Barnett said. Stocking it inside of his prosthetic leg. Pretty creative, though, wouldn't you say?
I would.
I bet you Sigourney Weaver would have been impressed by that. Let's see. How did Dan Marino get MIA status from your poll? The man is endorsing land sales, cars, weight loss. He played football, so he must be trustworthy. Right? P.S. I voted none. They're celebrities, not geniuses. Excellent. I mean, are we going to put, jocks on here?
Why not? I think he makes a good point. He's on TV all the time pushing stuff.
Yeah, he's on for that Nutrisystem all the time now. Danny boy. I see him 80 times a day. He lost 22 pounds, and I say, get out of here, Dan. Every time I see him on there, go away, Danny. We like you, but just go away already. Go away.
So we putting him on there?
Sure, Dan Marino. Oh, Danny boy. Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, he's endorsing all these things. Yeah, none is the correct vote. Thank you. Excellent facts. Good point. And leave James Franco alone. He's already got a lot of company, I'm sure. Oh, I don't want to read this whole thing. It's too long, okay? It's too long and ponderous. I don't want to get involved in that, especially on a Friday. Never on a Friday. But can I read just a couple of paragraphs? See, this will inspire them to read the rest of the story on our website. The Day Freedom Died in the USA from Capitol Hill Blue, and it's not even a Doug Thompson one. In fact, does it have a name on it? No. He's probably behind it. You know what a Schmidt disturber he is.
Mm-hmm.
Freedom died in the halls of the U.S. Congress yesterday as the U.S. Senate passed White House-sponsored legislation that gives President Bush virtually unlimited power to approve torture of detainees and allows the U.S. military to hold without due course or constitutional protections anybody considers a terrorist or threat to this country. That is wrong. It's unconstitutional. It is un-American, said Patrick Leahy of Vermont. He said it is un-American. This legislation will not only choke off freedom, but will ensure that the Bush-Cheney administration will never again be embarrassed by a U.S. Supreme Court decision reviewing its unlawful abuses of power. Thursday may be long remembered as the day the government of the U.S. approved torture, brutality, and barbarism as business as usual in Bush's politically manufactured so-called war on terror. It could well stand as the death knell for liberties and freedoms that have defined this country for more than 200 years. And it goes on. An AP report goes on. And this one said this, and this one said that, and you can read about it on neilrogers.com when Josh gets around to putting it on there. Probably tomorrow morning they can read about it, right?
Or late tonight.
Whenever he feels like it. Whenever the mood strikes. Whenever he's done. Whenever he's done doing whatever. Oh, Danny Marino's on the poll. You don't have any votes yet. 943. Danny Boy hasn't got any yet. We just put you on there, Danny, so just relax, okay? At ease. Like he really needs the money, you know what? Just like when I was saying yesterday about that lucky machine I had at Woodbine, and I'm thinking to myself, some of those people out there thinking, oh yeah, he really needs that money, you know, he's getting 1,000 twice and 1,500, he really needs. Well, you know something? Can always use a few extra bucks, right?
Right.
Especially when you've been making such heavy donations there for 2 years. Believe me, I can use some of it back. Just a little piece.
About the compassion of the...
Oh, get out of here. Go away already, okay? Leave us alone, please.
He's going to keep talking and pounding on that podium until you agree with him.
Yeah, well, hold your breath. And what did I tell you about Miss Mark Foley in Palm Beach County?
Gay. That's what you said.
I've been telling you that for a long time.
Yes.
Just like Charlie Crist.
Gay.
But not that, anybody should care about that. A congressman has been accused of sending questionable emails to a 16-year-old Capitol Hill page, Ross Story says. Reports circulated on the Internet earlier this week indicating that in private emails, Congressman Mark Foley, Republican of Florida, had requested photographs of the page, this is a 16-year-old boy, asked what he wanted for his birthday, and inquired about his age. And then they've got the emails on the story. A subsequent investigation by Ross Story discovered that the addresses on the emails were indeed those of Foley and a now 17-year-old boy, he's getting older by the minute, who forwarded them to a fellow staffer. There is no overtly sexual communication in Foley's emails, and the age of consent in Washington, D.C. is only 16 anyway. See? Our investigation also uncovered a MySpace profile attached to the congressman's personal address containing very little information. Mm-hmm. Foley's office has told ABC News that it's their policy to keep pictures of former interns so they could be remembered by anyone looking to recommend one.
Sure, we do that
right.
too.
Oh, here's a hot number. Yeah, he's going to recommend some of his friends.
We keep them on a site called hotinterns.com.
Right. However, ABC also reports that the page didn't even work in Foley's orifice. Ross Story spoke with several sources who confirmed that they felt Foley was unusually friendly with young Hill pages, but failed to uncover anything of a more serious nature. Foley's office contends that the congressman is only guilty of being overly friendly and has categorized the story as part of an opponent's smear campaign. Foley has long marketed himself as a protector of children from sexual predation. In 2003, he became an outspoken critic of a summer nudist camp for children. An amendment by Foley to change federal sex offender laws became part of the Adam Walsh Child Safety and Protection Act of 2006. He's part of a smear campaign, smear and schmear, you know. What's wrong with getting pictures of 16 and 17-year-old kids, huh?
Huh? If they're yours.
That's your boy, Mark Foley.
Gay.
Of Palm Beach County. Republican, of course. How are we doing on that poll? We got 1,000 yet? 9:59. Uh-oh. I think it's going to be 11 o'clock before we even get close to 1,000. So just ease off a little bit. Just relax. Well, it's Friday, for Christ's sakes. What do you expect? Plus, we got Yom Kippur coming up on Sunday at sundown. And we still don't have next week's schedule? How can that be? It's Friday already. How can we not have the schedule for next week? I want to see how many people turn Jewish on Monday. When I was at KAT, boy, 100 years ago, every Jewish holiday, the whole staff, even the dark-complected folks became Jewish. Everybody. The place was like a ghost town. Well, you can kind of relate to that.
Oh, yeah.
QAM, where every day is busman's holiday. 960 votes. Danny Marino's got a pair. He just tied James Franco, as a matter of fact. Who'd you rather have dinner with, Dan Marino or James Franco?
I don't know who's buying.
I bet you Danny boy is going to bring you some Nutrisystem.
Okay, I'll choose him.
Some of that good stuff in a box. It is delish, man.
The biggest names,
no
the best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
And Marino is a god. Oh! Martha, this is going to be a wonderful meal.
I'm perfect.
Yeah. Whoa, hold on.
All right, well, we're going to make salad. Be delicious.
You're using spinach.
And I want to focus on my salad.
Did you hear it? They found E. coli in spinach?
Really? That gives a little bit of kick to this delicious salad.
No, Martha. You know where E. coli comes from?
Well, ass.
Yeah. And I don't...
So here, doesn't that look beautiful?
It looks good, but...
delicious.
You don't eat poo, do you?
Not normally. Sometimes. But not always.
Oh, we got some good news for you. And there was Susan Candiotti was just there on CNN, our good friend Susan.
Mm-hmm.
I knew there was somebody we liked at CNN.
There's one.
Police said today they've shot and killed an accused cop killer after that massive two-day manhunt in Lakeland. They fielded him. All right.
Probably saw his dreadlocks.
Is that what it is? Well, now they're deadlocked.
Told him to shave them.
Ladies and gentlemen, God will be the judge and jury this time, said Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd. SWAT team members found the suspect in the brush. Asked to see his hands, saw a gun, and shot and killed the suspect who killed our deputy. They saw a gun. That's all they needed to see. Judd said police still have not been able to establish the identity of the man who was shot, but expressed confidence that he was their suspect in Thursday's traffic. Well, they've expressed confidence. They're pretty sure. Their suspect in Thursday's traffic stop that resulted in the death of Deputy Vernon Matthew Matt Williams and his police dog, Diogi. Hundreds of police were swarming through every square inch of thick, overgrown Florida woods Friday before the announcement. Police, and boy, they were all over this like Stink on Greg yesterday. My goodness. In fact, they still are right now.
Over 200 officers all night long kept this perimeter. Excellent discipline. They went through. They told him to show his hands. He didn't show his hands. They did what they had to do.
Bada bing. That's it. Dead. Police insisted they wouldn't rest until they captured the man whom they suspect of killing that sheriff's deputy, wounding another during a routine traffic stop. They thought he was involved in a narcotics ring. Williams was a 12-year veteran of the department. Deputy Doug Spires was shot in the leg, expected to make a full recovery, treated and released at the hospital. We've run dozens of leads through the night, Judd said. He's armed. We know he's very dangerous, and yada, yada, yada. And now he's beside that. He's also not quite so dangerous anymore because he's dead. How do you like that?
A rat.
Polk County. Yesterday we were playing Poke Salad Annie, and I turned on the TV after the show, and they were all over this thing, man, on and on and on. And thank God there's nothing else important going on in the world. You know what? That's what I thought. This must be extremely important in Lakeland, no less.
Well, it's
on
chicken
MSNBC,
Aruba.
the talking bubbleheads were going on about, have you ever been in Lakeland? Yeah, I've been there.
Serious?
Yeah. Oh, they're talking about the kind of town it is, you know, and they said Josh Cordes used to live very close to there. It's like, close to Tampa. Now, I'm sure that you were familiar with Lakeland, having lived in
I've actually been there. I played there Lakeland High School when I was going to high school.
You played with what?
I played their team in sports.
Wow. Lakeland High.
Yeah.
Anyway, getting out of that, I don't want to talk about Lakeland anymore. I said what I had to say yesterday about it, and I rest my case, man. It's like an outdoor trailer park, the whole town. Just yahoos. In fact, I think Lakeland is kind of like the epitome, as Edward Murrow would say, of what Florida's all about. Lakeland. Two-egg. You want to know what Florida's really all about? Outside, of course, is South Florida. We're the odd people out. We don't.
Yeah, we're odd.
We're the odd peoples. Speaking of odd, Democratic Senator Bill Nelson leads odd challenger Katherine Harris by 18 points in the new poll. She hasn't got a Chinaman's chance in hell. Nelson leads Harris 53 to 35% according to the Mason-Dixon Polling Research Inc. poll. 10% undecided. 2% wanted to vote for other candidates. Harris has long trailed Nelson. Her campaign been plagued by an initial lack of support from party leaders and staff defections, but she's cut Nelson's lead by 10 points. He was ahead by about 100 points. Now it's only 18. Her boost likely came from a decisive primary victory over 3 relatively unknown political newcomers, yada, yada, yada. But his lead hasn't dipped below 15 points. She hasn't got any chance. Even a dead person could do better than Katherine Harris. And by the way, speaking of that, don't get on that plane, sweetheart. 995 votes. We're going to have 1,000 any second now. Any second. And James Franco still only got 2. Thank the Lord. Even Danny Marino passed Jimmy up. Jimmy Franco, my good, close Jewish buddy. And speaking of polls, I don't want to get too political here. It's only the 29th of September.
You don't want to get too political?
The latest Zogby poll, unlike the story that we had yesterday, which evidently was, it's human nature. You believe whatever polls tend to bear out what you hope happens. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. In other words, if you want Lieberman to lose, you believe this poll today. If you wanted him to win, you believe the one yesterday. The latest Zogby poll shows Connecticut Senator Drew Lieberman leading Democratic primary winner Ned Lamont by only 2 points, well within the margin of error, according to Ross Story and the Zogby poll. Drew Lieberman's lead over Democrat Ned Lamont narrowed again in the latest poll and is now well within the margin of error, reports the Wall Street Journal and its website, the unctuous right-wing Wall Street Journal. Lieberman, running as an independent since losing the Democratic primary, was 10 points ahead of Lamont in August, immediately after the primary. Now his lead has fallen to 2 points, while Republican Arthur Schlesinger, that's the gambling guy, remains a distant third. According to the Wall Street Journal, Lieberman has angered his party for his support of the Iraq War, so has stepped up his criticism of the war strategy and execution while attacking the notion that the U.S. should set a timeline for a pullout. When in doubt, pull it out. Lamont leads among Connecticut's women voters, though he trails Lieberman badly among men, the report continues. Earlier today, well, that's that macho thing, you know. You ever see anybody any more macho than Drew Lieberman, for crying out loud? I don't know who's more macho, him or Susan Collins.
I'm amazed his neck can hold his head up.
You ever seen her speak, Susan Collins?
Not that I recall. Probably.
She's like a parody of herself. Whiny and wimpy and silly, just a silly person. Anyway, earlier yesterday, the poll conducted by Quinnipiac said Lieberman was ahead by 10 points over Lamont. So he's either ahead by 10 points or 2 points, or maybe by no points, but he don't know. God knows. God only knows. Police say Owens didn't attempt suicide. What do you think?
He didn't.
Josh?
No, definitely not.
I told you that. He just wanted some attention.
Is that what it was?
That's it. He's a
Dallas police have classified. Well, when you listen, you might learn something, okay? You might be dangerous.
Learn something.
You might be dangerous. All the way down there.
I know everything I want to know about him.
And what is that? That he's black?
I know more.
Is this a racial thing?
I know more than I want to know about him.
Are you going to start with that Makakowicz stuff?
That he exists.
How's Senator Makakowicz doing, by the way? You know, I sat here yesterday poring over the stories on 100 different websites, and I had it written down here, Senator Makakowicz, and I just sat here roaring out loud. A good thing nobody, saw. Sitting here all alone, yeah, like that, just laughing my ass off. Senator Makakowicz. It's got a good ring to it, doesn't it?
Oh,
I don't know. I guess I'm the only one that's tickled by that. Senator Makakowicz. Anyway, Dallas police have classified Terrell Owens' case as an accidental overdose, not an attempted suicide, closing their investigation yesterday of the Cowboy receiver's hospitalization. He's going to play this weekend, I believe. How can he play? He's got that broken hand. Well, whatever he's going to do. He'll do whatever he wants to do. How's that? Dallas Police Chief David Kunkel said he's got great confidence in the original officer report, which said rescue workers were called to the scene because of an attempted suicide by prescription pain medication. The police document also said a friend described Owens as being depressed, and that Owens said yes when asked whether he was trying to harm himself. Yes. The report, in my opinion, reflects what the officers were told, represents their best interpretation of what happened, Kunkel said at that big news conference yesterday, but that doesn't mean it's the definitive account. Like all these situations, we're dealing with incomplete information and facts that change. Owens said Wednesday he mistakenly mixed the painkillers for a broken head with supplements he ordinarily takes, causing him to become groggy while at home Tuesday evening. His publicist, Kim Etheridge, was with him and didn't like what she saw, especially when she also discovered an empty bottle of Peels. She called 911 and Owens was taken by ambulance to an emergency room. Within 2 hours of the hospital release Wednesday morning, Owens was catching passes at team headquarters. He went through a full practice Thursday, his first since breaking his right hand September 17th, and might play against the Tennessee Titans on Sunday. If the thing heals in time, as Phil Simms would say, heals in time. Oh, man. between Phil Simms and Tim McCarver. God, can we find an old twin holer and just put them both on the seat and fry their ass together? Kunkel said at his news conference that Owens and Etheridge were welcome to file a report against the officers if they believe anyone acted inappropriately. There's no reason for the officers to do anything inappropriate, he said. Etheridge could not immediately be reached for a response. The voicemail on her cell phone was full, and she didn't respond to emails from the ANP. Story changes every 5 minutes. And you know the bottom line to the whole thing?
What's that?
Who gives a flying?
The biggest names, the best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
All the crap you can unwrap, all the slime, all the time.
Absolutely.
Guess who just got back today? That jerk T.O. who used to play like nobody else mattered anyway. But man, I still think Jerry Jones is crazy. The boys are back to clown, the boys are going down. I said the boys are back to clown. There's noise in Dallas town. You know that jerk who used to dance a lot? Every time he got in the end zone with a Sharpie in his sock. Man, he thought he was cool, but he was really not. What a joke, that Terrell Owens. And that time at the Cowboys place, when T.O. danced on the logo, what a disgrace. Then Emmett ran over and got in his face, and now he thinks they won't forget it. The boys are back to clown, the boys are going down. I said the boys are back to clown. There's noise in Dallas town. I said T.O.'s been hanging round. His ego is renowned. The boys are back to clown. They're poised for going down.
Should be our worst problem. 14th, 11 at 560 WQM. We got 1,000 and some odd votes on the poll. They're odd, all right, 1,027. I apologize for the fact that this poll is going to be on there all weekend long. It's not one of our favorites, but too bad. It's a poll. And if it was good enough for Forbes magazine, it's good enough for us. Who is your most trusted celebrity? None, 327. I hate this poll, 132, almost 13%. Hated like poison. Easy to understand. George Clooney, 76. Michael J. Fox, 63. George Carlin, 57. He wasn't even on there yesterday. We put him on there this morning.
Look at that.
He is zooming up there, I told you. Didn't I tell you?
He's an old philosopher.
Tom Hanks, 56. Ron Howard, 55. I thought Eddie Lawrence was the old philosopher.
Who?
Chicken Neck will tell you. Morgan Freeman, 53. Susan Sarandon, 39. What about Tim Robbins? We don't want to put him on there?
Okay.
Don't you remember that show we used to have, Bobbin with Robin?
Absolutely.
Bobbin on Robin?
Lion.
Susan Sarandon, 39. Rachel Ray, 35. Oprah, 29. Oh, she is so trusted. James Earl Jones, 28, who's got balls the size of an elephant. Mel Gibson, 22. Well, there's only one reason for that.
Boy!
Jane Fonda, 18. 16. Denzel Washington, 16. Reese Witherspoon, 9. I went to high school with a kid named Bob Witherspoon. And what? Nothing happened.
Oh, okay.
Wish it did. Dan Marino, 6. Sean Penn, 5. 6. Whatever the hell it says there. James Franco still got 2. Me and some other queen. And Tim Robbins just went on. They don't have any. Boy, you're quick with that. Wow. Out of 1,031 votes.
We are quick over here.
I just mentioned Tim Robbins. He went on it faster than basketball. 10:47 at QM. We got Mad Dog at 2. We got the Hurricanes with a big game this weekend against the girls' team. And the Dolphins have got a big game, although we aren't carrying it, of course. We don't want to lose all that money. They got a big game against Houston as well. All the Houston girls' teams all the time. Wouldn't that be something if the Hurricanes lost tomorrow? Oh, my goodness. That would be, I think, the end of the world as we know it. Now, let's see. Why does it say the game is on Power 96? Oh, I see, because we got the Marlin game on QAM.
That's right.
Wow. So we got UM and Houston on Power 96 tomorrow afternoon. Although we have all the festivities earlier right here on QM. Make no mistake about that. There'll be Joe Zagacki and all those other great broadcasters be on it. Pop, 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 pop. You know, I'm sure even Clarence will probably be on there, and the Beast, all those other silly people. Molly Ivins writes, habeas corpus RIP, 12/15 to 2006. She said, with a smug stroke of his pen, President Bush is set to wipe out a safeguard against illegal imprisonment that's endured as a cornerstone of legal justice since the Magna Carta. She says, oh dear, I'm sure he didn't mean it. In Illinois' 6th Congressional District, long represented by Henry Hyde, Republican candidate Peter Roskam accused his Democratic opponent Tammy Duckworth of planning to cut and run on Iraq. Duckworth is a former Army major and chopper pilot who lost both legs in Iraq after her helicopter got hit by an RPG. I just couldn't believe he would say that to me, said Duckworth, who walks on artificial legs and uses a cane. Every election cycle produces some wincers, but how do you apologize for that one? Cut and run my ass. The legislative equivalent of that remark is the detainee bill now being passed by Congress. Beloveds, this is so much worse than even that pathetic deal reached last Thursday between the White House and Republican Senators John Warner, John McCain, and Lindsey Graham. The White House has since reinserted a number of technical fixes that were the point of putative compromise. It leaves the president with the power to decide who is an enemy combatant. This bill is not a national security issue. This is about torturing helpless human beings without any proof that they are our enemies. Perhaps this could be considered if we knew the administration would use the power with enormous care and thoughtfulness, but of the over 700 prisoners sent to Gitmo, only 10 have ever been formally charged with anything. Among other things, the bill is a CYA, cover your ass for torture of the innocent that's already taking place. Death by torture by Americans was first reported in 2003 in a New York Times article by Carlotta Gall. The military had announced the prisoner died of a heart attack, but when Gall saw the death certificate, written in English and issued by the military, it said the cause of death was homicide. The so-called heart attack came after he'd been beaten so often on the legs that they had basically been pulpified, according to the coroner. The story of why and how it took the time so long to print this information is in the current edition of the Columbia Journalism Review. The press in general has been late and slow in reporting torture, so very few Americans have any idea of how far it's spread. As is often true in hierarchical top-down institutions, the orders get passed on in what I call the downward communications exaggeration spiral. For example, on a newspaper, a top editor may remark casually, let's give the new mayor a chance to see what he can do before we start attacking him. This gets passed on as, don't touch the mayor unless he really screws up, and it ultimately arrives at the reporter level as, we can't say anything negative about the mayor. The version of the detainee bill now in the Senate not only undoes much of the McCain-Warner-Graham work, but is actually much worse than the administration's first proposal. In one change, the original compromise language said a suspect had the right to examine and respond to all evidence used against him. The three senators said the clause was necessary to avoid secret trials. The bill now has dropped the word examine and left only respond to. In another change, a clause said that evidence obtained outside the U.S. could be admitted in court even if it had been gathered without a search warrant. But the bill now drops the words outside the U.S., which means prosecutors can ignore American legal standards on warrants. The bill also expands the definition of an unlawful enemy combatant to cover anyone who's purposely and materially supported hostilities against the U.S. Quick, define purposely and materially. One person's already been charged with aiding terrorists because he sold a satellite TV package that includes the Hezbollah network. The bill simply removes the suspect's right to challenge his detention in court. This is a rule of law that goes back to the Magna Carta in 1215. That pretty much leaves the barn door open. As Vladimir Bukovsky, the Soviet dissident, wrote, an intelligence service free to torture soon degenerates into a playground for sadists. But not unbridled sadism. You'll be relieved that the compromise took out the words permitting interrogation involving severe pain and substituted serious pain, which is defined as bodily injury that involves extreme physical pain. In July 2003, George Bush said in a speech, the U.S. is committed to worldwide elimination of torture, and we are leading this fight by example. Freedom from torture is an inalienable human right, yet torture continues to be practiced around the world by rogue regimes whose cruel methods match their determination to crush the human spirit, said Bush. Fellow citizens, this bill throws out legal and moral restraints as the President deems it necessary. These are fundamental principles of basic decency as well as law. I'd like those supporting this evil bill to spare me one affliction. Do not please pretend to be shocked by the consequences of this legislation, and do not pretend to be shocked when the world begins comparing us to the Nazis, says Molly Allen. The Nazis, how do you like that?
Uh-huh.
Where have we heard that before? Greg says, that's not Greg Reed, thank God.
No.
Here's the facts. Would you please let me know if you guys are still impressed with your Flavor Wave ovens? And the answer is?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Use it twice a week at least, night before last.
I use it almost every day.
Chicken, steak,
right.
etc.
Says, I'm considering ordering one upon your recommendation. Absolutely do it. How about adding Ty Domi for today's poll? Oh, yeah, I'm sure his wife would vote for him, yeah. Ty Domi. Great show as always, says Greg. Thank you so much, Greg. And get yourself that Flavor Wave. It is outstanding, and mine just keeps puking right along. You know, I mean, sooner or later, I don't know, you probably have to replace that, the bulb.
Yeah, I remember said you were going to do that.
What?
I'll just let you know when it goes out.
Oh, I said I was going to do it for you. I was going to get you the new bulb.
Yeah, you offered.
No problem. I can handle it. Had a big day at Woodbine on Wednesday, man. Of course, I could have a bad day there tomorrow and give it all back, but I kind of doubt that.
It's a great oven. It comes with free bulbs for life.
Yeah, right. If Josh gets it. No, seriously, we all have one and we all love it, and what's not to like? I mean, it's just, you know.
I use it every day.
And how can you take like a frozen steak and cook it in the microwave? Can't do it. Well, you can't cook a steak in a microwave anyway. I mean, you could, but you have to be a moron. But you can take something from frozen. That's the most amazing thing about the Flavor Wave. See, you got me into doing a commercial for it now. The Flavor Wave Deluxe. Just Google it, man. You can get a good deal on it on the internet, Josh. Especially for the replacement bulbs, I think. Memory like a steel trap when it comes to freebies. He's in the right business, I'll tell you that. Because that's all we're all about, is getting all the freebies we can. Free meals, free whatever. Although we did not get the Flavor Wave for free. Or my DeBowl's pasta either, my low-carb pasta. Did I? No, I didn't get any for free. Spent a lot of money on it.
Yeah.
I got tons of it.
Me too. I bought a case.
1,056 votes, and it's good stuff, too.
Yeah.
1,056 votes, and Tim Robbins doesn't have any. How do you like that? Even Danny Marino's got 8. It's a good thing James Franco still only got a pair. And, of course, people would say, oh, that silly old faggot, he voted for James Franco because, well, I don't trust any celebrities anyway, so, I trust him as much as any of the rest of them.
Sure.
Right? Plus,
right.
At least he looks good,
Right.
I would say of this list of people, he's the only one on this whole list that I covet. You know what I mean by that?
I know what you mean by covet. I read the Bible.
There's nobody else in this crowd that I even dream of coveting, except maybe the lovely James Earl Jones, but I don't think so. Right. Isn't that something? Because he's got a big ballsy voice. And if you missed yesterday, we had the results of the, that's what inspired me to do this stupid-ass poll, the Forbes magazine poll. They had a list of 1,500 celebrities. I would like to get that whole list, see who's on the bottom. James Franco's on the bottom of our list so far. He's on the bottom of the poll. But anyway, their number one was Tom Hanks, followed by Rachel Ray, Michael J. Fox, Oprah, James Earl Jones, Denzel Washington, Morgan Freeman, Reese Witherspoon, Ron Howard. Little Opie. They trust him a lot. Why would you trust his ass?
He's got a red head.
Never trust a redhead.
The biggest names, the best talent.
Run like crazy, man.
Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
This is the Neil Rogers Show.
Rock solid.
This is your brain. Any questions?
Tonight on ABC's Primetime Live. First, we broke the bombshell that Paula Abdul had an affair with a former contestant on American Idol. Now comes the really bizarre truth. Corey wasn't the only one. That's right. Paula Abdul had an affair with William Hung? Paula, is this true?
There, I said it in front of your face.
Why?
I didn't tell you to say no.
Well, how did it start? What did he say?
Hi, I'm William Hung. I'm Hung.
And how did he come on to you?
Did James Brown, and he did it better than James Brown.
Really? James Brown? And what did you think?
He's gonna wet himself. Pretend not to notice.
Ew. And how was the sex?
It was so hard. I had an unbelievable experience. I've never had seen the most amazing hard.
Really? Well, William, what did you think of Paula?
She banged. She banged. Wow.
Okay, all right. We'll leave you two alone to get back to whatever disgusting thing you were doing. Get the full story tonight on Primetime Live on ABC.
One thing about him, man, he may not look very good, but he sure as hell can't sing. It's 11:02 at 560. Oh, there's Kira Phillips. Oh, no, that's not Kira Phillips.
Wisconsin.
That's another bubblehead.
Information.
Principal of Casanova, Wisconsin school shot by a former student.
Shot this morning by a former student who came into the school, had all kinds of weapons, not sure the nature of them.
All kinds of weapons. That's the American effing way, baby, isn't it? Crazy people with guns and machetes and all kinds of things. AK-47s, right? Uzis.
Alta Cocker 47s?
That's right. Like the ones they got in Sunrise Lakes.
Oh,
1,076 votes on the poll. We'll be over 1,100 pretty soon. This poll's weak. But it makes a point. People trust the celebrities because they are celebrities. That's the bottom line.
Sure, they see them. They think they know them, like a thing you said.
That's correct. Because you see somebody and therefore you assume that, oh, yeah, we know what kind of person they are. No, you don't. No, you don't.
And they also
Unless
think they're
like,
the character.
I beg your pardon?
They think they're that character, like Matlock.
Right, whatever character they play. Like Robin, you know.
Robin?
In Batman.
Oh, that Robin.
That Robin. Now, what the hell was his last name, Robin? Did he have a last name?
The character or the actor?
Oh, come on.
Grayson.
You think I don't know Burt Ward? Dick Grayson, and I know that. And Bruce Wayne. What kind of a guy's named Bruce anyway? I wonder what the sleeping arrangements were in Wayne Manor. I wonder in what manner they, at any rate. I'm sure Josh is concerned about that because it was a big, big mansion, you know, and you know damn well that their bedrooms were very far apart. I wonder where Alfred slept.
At the foot of the bed.
Oh. A congressional report due out today is going to show now convicted lobbyist Jack Abramoff and his associates had far more extensive contacts with the White House than President Bush's staff ever acknowledged. He was a bunk butt buddy, kind of like Batman and Robin. and they did a lot of bobbing. Isn't that a thing like on a sewing machine, the bobbin?
There is a bobbin in
Is
the
there?
sewing machine. Sure, it bobs.
Does it really?
Sure, there's a lot of other parts that we probably can't say on the air either.
No. The report from the Republican-led House Government Affairs Committee will state that Abramoff had as many as 450 contacts with the White House, and prime among his lobbying targets was former White House political director Ken Millman and Bush's advisor Karl Rove. But they didn't know him at all, but, kind of like Jack Ruby in Dallas. They didn't know him. Millman is now chairman of the Republican National Committee, which issued this statement in response to the report. In his capacity as political director of the White House, it is not unusual that Mr. Millman would be in contact with supporters who had interest in administration policy, to which we say, right. The investigation is based on a detailed examination of the billing records and the emails the committee received from Abramoff and his associates, which indicated far more extensive contacts than investigators were led to believe in the past between the lobbyists in both the White House and the Republican National Committee. It also presents circumstantial evidence that Abramoff was able to have some action taken on behalf of his clients and details offers from Abramoff and his associates of dinners, concert tickets, and other meals and drinks to White House officials. After Abramoff pled guilty to illegal lobbying, officials at the White House said they barely knew him. Hey, Jack, we barely knew ye. And all they knew was what they read in the newspapers. This report finds 450 contacts with White House officials, including 9 with the president's chief political advisor, the unctuous Karl Rove. It also shows that Abramoff tried to get 20 people hired in the administration, but only successfully once. The White House says what this demonstrates is that Abramoff was singularly unsuccessful as a lobbyist, even though he was trying very, very hard. But it remains to be seen if there were any instances of illegal lobbying, and if the alleged offers to White House officials of concert tickets, meals, etc. violated the gift ban. Abramoff and his business partner, Adam Cadan, both pled guilty to conspiracy and wire fraud in March, each sentenced to 5 years and 10 months in federal prison. Abramoff's sentence will begin November 15. 8 days after Election Day, by the way. I just mentioned that in fact. All right. So anyway, the guy in Lakeland is dead. They shot his ass dead, the evildoer, the dreadlock guy. 1,086 on the poll. And Tim Robbins has got none. He's old news, man. Who the hell even knows about him anymore, right? Right. I mean, he sure ain't one of my favorite Robins. What? We're just talking about Robins, so it's fresh on my mind, man. Always fresh in my mind. I'll bet. Especially with those green tights. Good God. Terrorists fear El Diablo. All right, there's something for all you.
Increíble.
How about the Chupacabra? Do they fear him too? They must. Maybe George Bush is the Chupacabra. George W. Bush allegedly served in the Texas Air National Guard during Vietnam War, writes Gary Vance on the Smirkling Chimp. And once again, we know it is because Commander-in-Chief Bush, a.k.a. El Diablo, is doing a fine job of protecting the borders of America while striking fear into the hearts of those wannabe terrorists. We're fighting them in Iraq so we don't have to fight them here. Meanwhile, they're biding their time while hoping for the wimpy cut-and-run Democrats to take back the federal government. Islamo-fascists don't mind waiting. A man was recently spotted in an Arizona City park flapping his arms wildly, hopping around on one leg while screeching at the top of his lungs. A policeman interrupted the inspector and asked the man what he was doing. This obviously deranged fellow muttered something about this ritual keeping wild elephants at bay. The policeman informed the man that there were no wild elephants within thousands of miles of Arizona. The man said, "See, it's working." Then, determined to stay the course, he resumed his ritual. What is he trying to say? About our fearless leader. Oh, there's Howie Dean.
For instance, we want peace and democracy. The problem is that this administration and the Republican Party generally has not been truthful about what's going on.
How so?
Well, as you know, the National Intelligence Estimate, which is the 16 major intelligence agencies of the United States government, came out last week with a report that said the Iraq War has made terrorism worse around the country. First, the president tried to deny it, then they leaked their own version of it. But the truth is, the president has never been truthful about Iraq.
About anything, right. At least he's consistent anyway. Oh, here's some bad news from Baghdad, and this isn't just about all these bodies that they keep finding every day either. A $75 million project to build the largest police academy in Iraq has been so grossly mismanaged that the campus now poses health risks to recruits and might need to be partially demolished, U.S. investigators have found. How's that school coming, by the way?
Finally, the children in Iraq have something they never had before.
Man,
It's a hospital, by the way.
Piece of work or what? What I say at school whatever the hell it is.
They never had any good medical attention before.
The unfinished building,
and
right.
now they need it more than ever because we're blowing them up every day.
The Baghdad Police College, hailed as crucial to U.S. efforts to prepare Iraqis to take control of the country's security, was so poorly constructed that feces and urine rained from the ceilings in student barracks. Ooh! It's not raining men, it's raining, Floors heaved inches off the ground and cracked apart. Water dripped so profusely in one room that it was called the rainforest. This is the most essential civil security project in the country, and it's a failure, said Stuart W. Bowen, Jr., no relation to Joe Bowen, the Special Inspector General for Iraq Reconstruction, an independent office created by Congress. He said the Baghdad Police Academy is a disaster. The master of disaster driven by Bud Gilmore in the fourth race at Yonkers. Bowen's office plans to release a 21-page report next Thursday detailing the most alarming problems with the facility. Even in a $21 billion reconstruction effort that's been marred by cases of corruption and fraud, failures in training and housing Iraq security forces are especially significant because of their effect on what U.S. military has called its primary mission here, to prepare Iraqi police and soldiers so that Americans can depart. Someday, some year, some century, some decade. Federal investigators said the Inspector General's findings raise serious questions about whether the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has failed to exercise effective oversight over the Baghdad Police College or reconstruction programs across Iraq, despite charging taxpayers management fees of at least 4.5% of the total project cost. The Corps of Engineers said Wednesday that it's initiated a wide-ranging investigation of the Police Academy project. Feces and urine are raining from the ceilings. The report serves as the latest indictment of Parsons Corp., the U.S. construction giant that was awarded $1 billion for a variety of reconstruction projects across Iraq. After chronicling previous Parsons failures to properly build health clinics, prisons, and hospitals, Bowen said he now plans to conduct an audit of every Parsons project. Oh, the Alan Parsons project. The truth needs to be told about it. Now you're going to play it. I know you're going to play it. There's no question in my mind.
I could play a lot of it, but I'll play your song.
Oh, I love that. The old Fly in the Sky. The truth needs to be told about what we didn't get for our dollar from Parsons, Bowen said. A spokesman for Parsons said the company hadn't seen the Inspector General's report. Right, and it goes on at great length about what a bunch of gypsies, tramps, and thieves they are. Kind of like Halliburton. All these billions of dollars that are being siphoned out of your pocket. But hey, that's why that poll is a good idea, the one that was sent in this morning, about if you could keep your federal tax dollars from being spent on any whatever.
It is a good idea.
It is a great poll. In fact, maybe that'll be a good one on Monday. You never know. I wonder what Howie Dean thinks.
The Republicans have taken this country, and I think they've really hurt us. But I do admire the way they know how to win elections, and we need to get ourselves...
See, he misspoke there. What he meant to say is he admires the way they know how to steal elections. Yeah, the Democrats used to know how to do that, and then they forgot. Then the Republicans said, oh, we got a better idea. 1,100 votes even right on the poll, and Tim Robbins still has got the big nothing, zippity-doo-dah. That's bad. Anybody remember Tim Robbins?
Who?
Get out of here.
He's just
Run. Yeah, he was good.
Right.
Now, what was that movie he was in that we liked so much?
Which one? He's been in a few I like.
Huh?
The Player.
Was that it?
Well, I don't know if you saw that one. You know, as a matter of fact, I know you didn't see that one because that has Whoopi Goldberg and Lyle.
The one where he faked getting shot and the whole deal there at the end and got elected. And what the hell was the name of it?
I forget.
With Susan Sarandon, I believe. Well, you better Google Tim Robbins. I'm going to Google it during the break. How do you like that?
The biggest names of best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
You bastard.
You falsely accused me of giving aid and comfort to bin Laden because of what happened in Somalia. No one knew Al-Qaeda existed then.
If you're wrong and you know it, blame Clinton. If Osama is still going, blame Clinton. If the deficit is growing and the economy is slowing, no matter where you blow it, blame Clinton. Oh! If you're wrong and you know it, blame Clinton. If corruption is still growing, blame Clinton. If the Middle East is going all to hell and it's showing, if terrorism's growing, blame Clinton.
Oh! Richard Clark and all the intelligence people said that I ordered a vigorous attempt to get bin Laden and came closer, apparently, than anybody has since. All right. And you guys try to create the opposite impression when all you have to do is read Richard Clark's findings and you know it's not true. It's just not true.
That's not true. 11:18 at 560. He did not have sex with that woman, Ms. Lewinsky, whatever the hell her name was, that cow.
Mm-hmm.
Now listen, Bob Roberts was a good movie too with Tim Robbins, and Gore Vidal was in it.
Don't think I saw it.
He played Paste. A little pasty, old and pasty. Also, you know, for the poll, if you think I'm fading, I'm just reaching back. How about Martin Sheen?
Okay.
From the Sheeny Elves.
Sure.
Wouldn't you think?
Absolutely.
Good, Martin Sheen. He's a political kind of guy. 11:18 at 560. That's the funny part about this poll is that somebody like Michael J. Fox, do you consider him, I mean, maybe I'm missing something somewhere, but do you consider him like in any way political or like, you know?
He made those speeches about stem cell research, remember? Because he's got the Parkinson's.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah, you know, whatever. He went up, you know, in front of Congress and shook at them.
That's bad. Oliver Stone says, I'm ashamed for my country. You ought to be ashamed about some of those bad movies you've made, Oliver.
I agree.
Filmmaker Oliver Stone blasted President George W. Bush yesterday, saying he has set America back 10 years. Solamente 10? Soltanto 10? What are you talking about, senor? Stone added that he's ashamed for my country over the war in Iraq and the U.S. policies in response to the attacks of September 11. We've destroyed the world in the name of security, Stone told journalists at the San Sebastian International Film Festival prior to a screening of his latest movie, World Trade Center. The film tells the true story of the survival and rescue of two policemen who were trapped in the rubble of World Trade Center on 9/11 after they went to help people escape. From September 12th on, the attacks were politicized and it's polarized the entire world, said Stone. It's a shame because it's a waste of energy to see that the entire world 5 years later is still convulsed in the grip of 9/11. Whatever that means. Are we convulsed?
I'm convulsing right now, kind of like Michael J. Fox.
Will you quit picking on him for crying out loud? It's bad. That's in bad taste. Next you'll be picking on poor Janet Reno.
Who would do such
sending
a
her out
thing?
for takeout at Shakey's Pizza. It's a
fun of
waste of
Janet
energy away from things that do matter, which is poverty, death, disease, the planet itself, and fixing things in our own homes rather than fighting wars with others. Mr. Bush has set America back 10 years, maybe more, said Stone. The director of blockbusters such as Platoon and JFK said the U.S. reaction to the attacks was out of proportion. If there had been a better sense of proportion if we had a leadership that was more mature, he said, we didn't fight back in the same way the British fought the IRA or the Spanish government fought the Basques. Terrorism is a manageable action that can be lived with, said Stone. Stone rejected allegations that U.S. authorities may have known about the attacks in advance and said the real conspiracy came afterward. I think that conspiracy mongering on 9/11 is a waste of time. He said the far greater conspiracy occurred after 9/11 when basically a neo-cabal inside our government hijacked policy and went to war. That was as broad a conspiracy as we can get, and it was about 20 or 30
About 30, man.
people. That's all. They took over, and all these books are coming out, and they're pointing it out, said Stone. All these books are coming out. The war in Iraq is a disaster. I'm disgraced. I'm ashamed for my country. He said, I'm also ashamed that America has attacked itself with its constitutional breakdowns. I'm deeply ashamed. Not just ashamed kind of like pedestrian and ordinary ashamed, but deeply ashamed. All the way down to his bowels. In the U.S. favor, Stone posited that it's not responsible for all the world's problems. You can't see that the U.S. is responsible for all the evil in the world because you can see so many dictators and so many bestial acts all over the world now. There's something in the human heart, the international human heart, that is evil, said Stone. Oh, there we go with those evildoers again. That's the evil that turns its mind and ears on humanity and is able to say, I can kill a person in the name of God or religion. This is not a human being. This is a fanatic. And I fear that fanaticism is the result of our overreaction to 9/11, said Stone. Yeah, before 9/11, we never had any religious fanaticism, and we never had anybody killing other people in the name of religion, did we?
Nope.
You jackass. You silly person. 1,127 votes on the poll. And Martin Sheen went on there and immediately got nothing. Tim Robbins finally got a vote after you mentioned Bull, what did you say, Bull Schmidt? Bull Durham. Bob Roberts, Bull Schmidt. Tim Roberts has one. James Franco's got 3 now. Well, I guess we'll have to split them. I'll take from the armpits up. How's that? To be on the safe side. He's got a good head on his shoulders. Sean Penn's got 7. I'm going from the bottom up. Reese Witherspoon's got 9. Is she like political? I know she's married to, what's his name?
What's his name?
Brian Philippe.
Okay.
You know who she's married to. You're
Nope.
just jealous. I'm jealous.
Yeah.
No, you're not. You can't stand her. You hate
Either
her
one
like
of
poison.
them.
Well, he's a lot prettier than she is.
On both of them.
Now, what is it that you... Oh, and by the way, Al Pacino is the one who spoke like... You're always making fun of the way... Like that. When he was auditioning for The Godfather, I saw his bio on biography the other night.
That's wrong.
Oh.
I'm so glad I saw Crash.
Poor Ryan. He was good in Crash. You got to admit that.
Talk like a normal person.
He was good in Crash, and he did not talk like that in Crash, did he? No, he did not.
He did such a good job talking like that. I thought that's what he talked in real life.
Well, maybe he'll bring it back for his next flick. Smash. Dan Marino, 10. They love you, Danny boy. Just stay the hell away. Denzel Washington, 17. Jane Fonda's got 18. Hanoi Jane. How do you like that? Mel Gibson, 25. That's the anti-Semitic crowd, or maybe just a bunch of drunks. Or maybe the Jesus crowd. Never thought about that. That could be it, don't you think?
Maybe.
As the Pope says, it is as it was. Right. Who the hell's the Pope? Who did that Pope think he was anyway? Walter Cronkite? James Earl Jones, 32. Oprah's got 35. How sad. Now, we don't have any women listening. Maybe we've got 35. You think? Because there isn't any man in the world, any man, real or otherwise, that would say they trust Oprah, right?
Yeah. You're not going to find one.
Not who would admit it. Rachel Ray, 37. Susan Sarandon, 41. Ron Howard, 56. I wonder if Anthony trusts Opie. Morgan Freeman, 59. Tom Hanks, 61. He won the Forbes poll, but he's down a little bit in ours. He's down. Michael J. Fox, 64. George Carlin from nowhere is moving toward the top, 75. He's going to pass George Clooney like he's laying prone, and he ought to be. George Clooney, what's he got? 85. I hate this poll, 144, 12.6%, and none way up ahead, 354. 31% of you say we don't trust any celebrity, and good for you. Good thinking. I mean, what the hell do you know about these people? Maybe they stink. Maybe they have bad hygiene. What do you know? Right?
Right.
But like you said, everybody thinks they know them because of a role they played in a movie or a role they play on television.
They think that character.
That's right. Or like a role they play on a soap opera. That's the worst part. When these soap opera people come on these different shows and they talk about their experiences like out in shopping malls, out in public, and people call them by the name of the character, and if they play an evil person on the soap opera, they're like, oh, how come you're such a nasty, whatever, bitch, like that. They don't know, like Howard Beale once said, you're the real thing, we're the illusion. Isn't that what he said when he went through that rambling,
he did
hysterical?
Say that.
Yeah.
And that
we are the
video you
illusion.
have is
That was just after Josh fell asleep. Shame about that. I think everybody ought to be forced to watch that.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Oh! Listen to me. Television is not the truth. So turn off your television sets. Turn them off right in the middle of the set.
The biggest names, the best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Neil God.
I'm under the job. I'm under the job. He's so cuckoo. I'm under the job. He's so good, so cuckoo. He's really cuckoo. Ahmadinejad, his name's Ahmadinejad, and he's kind of like Mel Gibson with a big scruffy beard, and he wears a brown jacket that looks like he bought it at Banana Republic off the discount rack. I'm under the job. I'm under the job. He's so cuckoo. I'm under the job. He's cuckoo. He's really cuckoo.
Now, he got it at bad will. Not goodwill, but in Iran they've got bad will. Because they're evildoers, you do understand that. 11:31 at QM. How many votes we got? James Franco's got 4 now. I don't know how we divided them up in 4 pieces. 11:57. Well, I mean, it's getting out of control now. And why are they voting for James Franco? They wouldn't know James Franco from Franco American. Because I said it, because I voted for him. Monkey see, monkey do. Monkey around if you want. But leave him alone. I'm taking the head from the shoulders up.
Okay.
The White House ignored an urgent warning in September 2003 from a top Iraq advisor who said that thousands of additional American troops were desperately needed to quell the insurgency there. In that new book by Bob Woodward is what it says, the Washington Post reporter and author. The book is coming out Monday, by the way. State of Denial. The book describes a White House riven by dysfunction and division over the war. The warning is described in State of Denial, scheduled for publication Monday by Simon & Schuster. The book says President Bush's top advisors were often at odds among themselves and sometimes were barely on speaking terms, but shared a tendency to dismiss as too pessimistic assessments from American commanders and others about the situation in Iraq. As late as November 2003, Mr. Bush is quoted as saying of the situation in Iraq, "I don't want anybody in the cabinet to say it's an insurgency. I don't think we are there yet." I love this line in this story from the Times. It says, the book bought by a reporter for the New York Times at retail price in advance of its official release. Are we supposed to be proud of them? They actually went out and paid retail for it, as opposed to getting a freebie review copy. Isn't that great? Aren't we proud? Mm-hmm. You think they could handle it? Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld is described as disengaged from the nuts and bolts of occupying and reconstructing Iraq, a task that was initially supposed to be under the direction of the Pentagon, and being so hostile toward Condoleezza Rice, then the National Security Advisor, that President Bush had to tell him to return her phone calls. A little hostility there between Hermann Goering Rumsfeld and Condoleezza. The American commander for the Middle East, General John Abizaid, is reported to have told visitors to his headquarters in Qatar in the fall of 2005 that Rumsfeld doesn't have any credibility anymore to make a public case for the American strategy for victory in Iraq. Mr. Woodward writes that his book is based on interviews with President Bush's national security team, their deputies, and other senior and key players in the administration responsible for the military, the diplomacy, and the intelligence on Iraq. Robert D. Blackwell, then top Iraq advisor on the National Security Council, is said to have issued his warning about the need for more troops in a lengthy memorandum sent to Ms. Rice. The book says Mr. Blackwell's memorandum concluded that more ground troops, perhaps as many as 40,000 more, were desperately needed. It says that Mr. Blackwell and Paul Bremer III, then the top American official in Iraq, later briefed Ms. Rice and Stephen Hadley, her deputy, about the pressing need for more troops during a secure teleconference from Iraq. It says the White House did nothing in response. The book describes a deep fissure between Colin Powell, Mr. Bush's first Secretary of State, and Rumsfeld. When Powell was eased out after the 2004 elections, he told Andrew Card, the White House chief of staff, that if I go, Don should go, referring to Mr. Rumsfeld. Mr. Card then made a concerted effort to oust Rumsfeld at the end of 2005, according to the book, but was overruled by President Bush, who feared it would disrupt the coming Iraqi elections and the operations at the Pentagon. Cheney is described as a man so determined to find proof of his claim about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq that in the summer of 2003, his aides were calling the chief weapons inspector, David Kay, with specific satellite coordinates as the sites of possible weapons. None resulted in any fines. And it goes on at length. Got to get that book on Monday, and of course I'm going to go out and buy it at its retail price in the bookstore. State of Phenomenal by Bob Woodward. I beg your pardon?
That's mighty white of you.
Well, I mean, who the hell's going to send me a free copy of it? Nobody. You think Bob Woodward's going to stop by and drop one off at the doorstep here? I kind of doubt it. He'll just stop by and drop off James Franco's head from the shoulders up. 1,164 votes. Martin Sheen finally got a vote. And Mel Gibson's got 25. Isn't that something? Wouldn't you like to be a fly on the wall and see where those 25 votes are coming from?
No.
Who is your most trusted celebrity? It is a stupid pool. And that's why Nunn is winning hands down. Nunn and I hate this pool between the two of them got like 43%. That good?
That's great.
Well, I mean, it's not really good from the standpoint of, boy, this is a really crappy poll. But at least, at least they're giving the right answers in some cases. Like George Clooney. I mean, my God, what's not to like with George Clooney and those great movies he made?
Mm-hmm.
Like that Syriana piece of crap. And then, of course, Good Night and Good Luck. Oh, my God, yeah, you were so right about that. I could have saved an hour and a half of my eyesight.
And it's tragic because, it's something that should have been entertaining so that people would
watch
it.
What was entertaining, and not so much entertaining, but educational, informational, was on the Biography Channel, the Admiral Biography, which was like, for real. As they say on that network, is real. As opposed to that crap movie. George Clooney, man, he's just, I don't know what the big deal is with him. Does he look good?
No.
Is he boring?
Yes.
Terminal. He's almost as boring as Kevin Costner. Now that's a real shot. Nobody's that boring, but he's close. He's certainly in the league. He's in the top 10 of boringness. That's a good poll for one day next week. The most boring celebrities. Have we done that?
I don't think so.
Well, Kevin Costner sure as hell belongs there.
Oh, yeah.
And George Clooney. Who are some other ones?
Colin Farrell.
Ooh. Anybody from American Idol. Ryan Seacrest.
No.
Over 100 laptops missing from Department of Homeland Security. Just the headline is amusing, isn't it? Is there a little bit of irony in that headline? According to the website fcw.com, the Government Accountability Orifice has found that over 100 Department of Homeland Security laptops are missing and thought to have been stolen. The computers worth more than $300,000 were purchased by FEMA in the wake of Hurricane Katrina. The 3 computers purchased by the Coast Guard are also missing and presumed stolen, by the way. How do you like that? A weak control environment and breakdowns in key controls left the Department of Homeland Security vulnerable to fraud and abuse, states the report, prepared with the participation of the DHS's Office of Inspector General. Missing and presumed stolen. 100 Department of Homeland Security laptops. I mean, just think about how amusing that is. How secure we are.
Oh, yeah.
What a big, fat joke. A big, fat, freaking joke the whole thing is. But nevertheless, very important stuff. You do know that, don't you? Good. Got Mad Dog coming up at 2 o'clock from Hooters in the Ponds. Go over there and get smashed. It's the weekend for crying out loud, right? Power Hour with Hank and the Mad Dog, 4 to 5. And then it says Hank is in New York City between 5 and 7. Man, he must be going to make one hell of a fast trip. So in other words, they're going to do it by long distance? Now, how does that work when there are like 2 people on together and one of them is like 1,200 miles away from the other one?
I don't know. Like magic, I'd imagine.
We ought to try that someday. Hank's on between 5 and 7 from New York. Now, what's the deal in New York? What's going on there? Do we know anything about why he's there?
I don't.
Just going to OTB to plunge his guts out? I don't know what that's all about.
I'll find out for you.
Then we got, it's not important, okay? It's not
about
business.
Important.
Why is that?
I don't know. I was just saying that.
Marlins on deck at 7 o'clock. Marlins and the Phillies at 7:35. Would you say that game's important? No. But it's a game. It's on the schedule. They got 3 left with the Phillies this weekend, and then that's it. And then Joe Girardi gets fired. And then everybody says, oh, my God, we didn't know he was going to get fired. What's that all about? They did so well, And then we got Eddie Caff to the Marlin-Philly game tonight. Get out to the ball game, man. Now, the Hurricanes, their game is at Houston, right?
No, it's here.
Like I said, the Dolphins, whoever they are, their game's in Houston.
That's right.
Oh, sorry. So it's there. Oh, that's right. I heard Kenny and Bo this morning talking about how there are going to be like 20,000 people there, maybe. Won't that be embarrassing just because they're playing little girls' team? Plus, of course, they started 1 and 2, so who the hell wants to see the Hurricanes anyway?
The biggest names, the best
Jump off that bandwagon, baby.
Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Were you drudge packing?
Attention college basketball fans. The University of Miami Hurricanes basketball tickets are on sale now. Show your support for a college you have never attended. We still want you to fill your seats, even if you never finished third grade. Root for your favorite corporate-sponsored team player and dream that he's your friend. And eternally grateful for your support. Dream that all basketball players are your friend, because you have none. Feel included. Buy your Miami Hurricane basketball tickets now and watch how it magically changes your life. We are all new to this radio thing and thought using the echo effect would be a new concept in advertising. Hello. Miami Hurricane basketball. Pick your seats now.
It's 11:45. I'm just Googled the most boring celebrities, and I can't find it. You know what I mean?
They don't have that.
Here's one that says Jennifer Aniston is the most boring celebrity ever. And then it
Okay.
goes on to say, I do love her, and yada, 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 and I don't care if she's boring, and I would hop on her bones and whatever else. But I don't know. It's going to take a little more research.
We'll have
Here's
to make
the
our own.
facts, by the way, that's just so butt-licking. Uncle Neil, since you are the only celebrity that I trust, could you please put yourself on the poll?
No.
Most trusted celebrity. I'm a celebrity like you're a rocket scientist, okay? It's just silly. Just a silly thing. Just an ass-kissing thing, okay?
I made a baking soda rocket.
Thank you so very much for the kissy-kissy, but no thanks.
By the way, Hank is in New York for, like, some horse race.
What did I tell you? I knew it. I knew it. How do you like that? What a degenerate. My kind of guy. Plunging his guts out. Some kind of horse race. I wouldn't be surprised if he's on TV tomorrow, like on ESPN or ABC or both or something like that.
ESPN.
Well, do we know what race it is? Is it the...
I'll be damned if I know.
Well, you ought to be
I
knowing
figured
these
you
things,
would
man.
know. I said, they were about to tell me. I said, no, he'll know.
Get out of here. What is it, the Wood Memorial?
Yeah,
I know
that's
my
it.
Wood, man. I don't know what race it is. And you know what? I don't care. How's that? I really don't care. Thoroughbred racing leaves me limp. Any sport where it takes longer for them to get the horses in the starting gate than it does for the race to run, to me, that's terminal, you know? Oh, my God, the stuff that they have to go through. That proves how dumb horses are, by the way. You know, they school those horses in the starting gate over and over and over again, you know, thinking that if they do it enough times, they'll realize that they're just supposed to go in there, and that means that they're going to, they got the jockey on their back, they're going to run a race, and that's the way it works. Huh? No. Even some of the veteran race horses, man, they carry on behind the gate, and they potchkey around, and they jump up in the air, and they throw the jockey off it. You know, of course, I guess if you had like 100 pounds on your back, you'd probably get a little restless too, huh?
A little bit.
All depending on who it was. Doug Thompson's got to come today, but you didn't know that.
Good.
Neither did I just discovered it. Doug Thompson from Capitol Hill Blue. Boy, they're going to nail his ass right to a cross and burn it. We want to be there to see it. Seduced by a domineering mistress called politics is the headline on this column. He says, I arrived in Washington March 1st, 81, on what I thought then would be a 2-year sabbatical from journalism. I wanted to spend a couple of years learning government and the political system from the inside. Such knowledge, I thought, would help me become a better journalist. At least that was the plan. When I reported for my job as press secretary to Illinois Republican Congressman Paul Findley, barricades didn't block the driveways of the House office buildings or the U.S. Capitol, and visitors didn't pass through metal detectors to see their government in action. Findley, a moderate Republican from an agricultural district, had achieved some notoriety for meeting with PLO Chairman Yasser Arafat and urging the White House to recognize the right for a Palestinian state. That generated a lot of opposition from the Jewish lobby, and Findley barely survived a tough election in 80. I'd covered that race as a reporter, and after the election, he offered me a job. But the stifling, structured style of Findley's office didn't fit with my more freewheeling persona as a former reporter and columnist. I clashed often with the congressman's bureaucratic chief of staff. Within a few months, I was talking to newspapers again about returning to my chosen profession earlier than planned. Then, Chris Hurst, the incumbent director of the National Republican Congressional Committee, asked me to meet with Eddie Mahy, the legendary GOP political consultant who many in town felt led the party's rebuilding effort after the debacles of Richard Nixon and Watergate. Mahy asked me to join the campaign of Congressman Manny Lujan of New Mexico, a 5-term Republican who barely survived a strong election challenge in 80. My job interview with Lujan took place over several glasses of scotch at the Capitol Hill Club. Somewhere during the course of the evening, he offered, and I accepted a job. In January of 82, I was in New Mexico, finding that Lujan's more relaxed style and the no-holds-barred politics of the state provided just the kind of adrenaline rush that makes politics so addictive. I quickly mastered the skills of a political operative willing to bend the rules because winning was the only measure of success. When I discovered that Lujan, whose ancestors emigrated to New Mexico from Spain, had never carried the Spanish-speaking South Valley of Albuquerque because it voted mostly for Democrats, I engineered an independent expenditure campaign by a local car dealer that flooded the South Valley with door cards the weekend before the election. The cards carried a photo of Lujan's opponent, blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jan Hartke, and asked in Spanish, "How do you pronounce Hartke in Spanish?" The answer, gringo. Lujan carried the South Valley in the election. During '82, I met Chuck Bailey, then Deputy Chairman of the Republican National Committee. I wonder if he was related to Jack Bailey from Vernon Downs. And he signed me on for contract work writing campaign literature for GOP races. By the time the '82 elections ended and Lujan won, I was hip-deep in politics. The NRCC recruited me to serve as chief of staff for a freshman GOP congressman, also asked me to work with their orientation programs for new members of Congress. In the '84 elections, I served as a contract field consultant for the NRCC and wrote the daily Voices for Victory report for the Reagan-Bush campaign under a contract for the Republican National Committee. My reputation as a cutthroat operative willing to take chances grew. In one race, I sent out a campaign brochure with the unlisted home phone number of an incumbent Democrat and asked voters to call him and complain about his votes. I told another candidate that his speaking performance was so weak that if you'd been up there masturbating, your hand would be asleep. So naturally, I was invited to join the faculty of the American Campaign Academy, a shadow Republican operation to train campaign managers and press secretaries. In lectures to aspiring campaign managers and press secretaries, I taught students to do anything to protect their candidate, to lie if necessary, and find ways to circumvent the rules. Winning, I taught them, was the only acceptable outcome. That was the attitude and style that made me successful in the political arena. In '85, I returned to Capitol Hill, this time as special assistant to the ranking Republican member, Lujan, on the House Science and Technology Committee. For the next 2 years, I traveled extensively, both domestically and internationally on committee business, and enjoyed the good life as a senior-level House staffer. But the itch of politics remained, and Mahy recruited me to work for retired Corning CEO Armory Houghton's first run for Congress in '86. Houghton won, and the thought of returning to the interesting but mostly sedate life of a committee staffer didn't hold much appeal. After the election, the National Association of Realtors came calling with an offer to run their independent expenditures campaign. Shortly after joining the Realtors, the trade association of 800,000 members reorganized, and I became vice president of political programs with overall responsibility for their political funding operation, including what was then the largest PAC, Political Action Committee, in the country. Running a PAC that maxes out in contributions in virtually every House and Senate race and buys entire tables at major fundraising events is a heady experience. Newspapers and journalism became a distant memory, lost in a lifestyle of six-figure incomes, large expense accounts, and the power to influence elections with your checkbook. My willingness to bend the rules carried over into the work with the Realtors. I willingly promoted the organization's myth that most people buy their homes because they can deduct mortgage interest on their income taxes, a fact contradicted by the reality that the U.S. at the time ranked third in per capita home ownership, trailing two other countries that did not allow mortgage interest deductibility. I would spend millions on ad campaigns that promoted realtor issues that were self-serving, even if it posed a threat to the economy of others. The only thing that mattered were gains for the special interest group that employed me. Yet some shreds of the journalist remained, and I began to question what I had become. I drank to bury the doubts, but it wasn't enough. After 5 years, the Realtors reorganized, and I used the opportunity to walk away with a nice severance package. Still, I wasn't weaned from politics. I spent '92 raising PAC funds for GoPAC, the political organization of Newt Gingrich. I also worked the GOP convention in Houston that year. The drinking and doubts about what I was doing for a living increased, and I finally crashed under the load in '94. During my recovery, my old political guru, Eddie Mahy, came calling again. His political consulting firm had by that time morphed into a more strategic business communications operation that handled crisis situations and other matters for companies. In the summer of '94, I was on a plane to Montana to help Echo Bay Mines of Denver with a due diligence study on a prospective gold mining operation. I would spend much of the next few years traveling around the world for Echo Bay and other clients. I also returned part-time to journalism, starting Capitol Hill Blue in October of '94 and taking freelance writing and photo assignments from Wire Service's national publications. My last brush with political work came in '99 when the Eddie Mahy Company signed on to help the Vermont Republicans try and regain control of the state legislature. The campaign centered on GOP opposition to civil unions. When I saw the homophobic material the Republicans planned to use in the campaign, it sickened me. I opted out of the campaign and moved it. The beginning of the end of my involvement with Eddie and his partner, LaDonna Lee. The Eddie Mahy Company later merged with a law firm in Washington, and I returned full-time to journalism. My wife and I began to spend more and more time at a farm we owned in southwestern Virginia mountains. In 2004, we bought additional property and a home there, sold our home in the Washington suburb of Arlington, Virginia, and left Washington for good. I return now once a year to speak to the Washington Center for Politics and Journalism. The planned 2-year sabbatical from journalism turned into more than a decade, and we spent 23 years in Washington. The money, the adrenaline rush, and the power of politics seduced me without question. I made a lot of money, and the money gives us a good quality of life now. I love the action, but I regret many of the things I did while working inside the political system. The self-loathing contributed, I'm sure, to my alcoholism, a disease you find prevalent in political circles. With 12 years, 3 months, and 23 days of sobriety under my belt, I can look back at my years in politics and be truly ashamed of what I did in the name of a political party and its self-serving causes. The irony is that while I worked for Republicans, I never was one. I wasn't and still am not anything. I've been an independent all my life and have never registered for any party or voted a straight ticket. Those years in politics allowed me to better understand why things happen in politics and the government that the political system controls. It's a corrupt system driven by greed and a lust for power. It's a system that must be changed if America is to survive. I'm ashamed now of many of the things I did as a political operative and will do anything to help bring about the change that's needed. I was part of the problem. Now I hope to be part of the solution. That's your boy, Doug Thompson.
Great.
I'd like that. I bet you didn't know all those things about Dougie.
I did not.
Especially working for all those Republicans. But nevertheless, never too late to start learning, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like you said, greed, power, they're all a bunch of crooks, I think is what he's trying to say. And we got 1,201 votes. How do you like that?
The biggest names of best
Write that on
talent.
your wrist.
This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Hi, this is Steve Goldstein, but you can call me Geldy. Whenever I'm in town, I listen to... Wait a minute, I am in town. It's the 12 for 1 hour.
It's been brought to my attention that your ratings are dying now. Well, I want to show you what a big asset I was to you and how. You thought you could find somebody good enough to fill my baggy pants? It ain't easy. There ain't no chance I'll ever be coming back. Outside of considering a lucrative contract. If you want to know what'll save you from shutting that transmitter down, why, that's easy. Sure.
All you need is more. All you need is more. All you need is a show to go blow.
Here's your old time slot, only got you today. Despite that, my ratings have bottomed out in this day. When radio has a revolving door for the gayest of the whores and squeaky.
All you need is more.
Now take it.
All you need is more. All you need is a show to go blow.
Over here, you find away something.
Yeah?
Jack told me to give you this.
What?
You see? What are you going to do, fire me, huh?
Like old times.
1201 at 560 WQM. It'll never be like old times again. You can be sure of that. And you know what? Thank the Lord. That's all I can say for that. Mm-hmm. Wow. So here's a little bit more. Not much more on that shooting. Of course, just another shooting in another school in America. Casanova, Wisconsin. A principal was shot today in a rural Wisconsin school. A suspect was taken into custody. Now, didn't it say before that it was a former student at the school? It doesn't even say that here now. It says all the children at Weston School were reported safe. The principal was apparently shot several times, but his condition was not immediately known. But if he was shot several times, he'd probably be ill, wouldn't you think? Right. 119 votes on the poll, man. We're going to make something today before 2 o'clock. We're going to really do it. We're going to make like chopped liver. Just in time for Yom Kippur, baby. Don't forget, eat some good trafe Sunday night after sundown.
I will.
If you want to ensure that you're going to burn in hell with Beelzebub. And, of course, don't forget El Diablo and the Chupacabra. Right. All of these
things.
When you hear this, I mean, not that I really care, but it just... I just become overwhelmed with this crap, with this swill. Maybe you can explain this to me.
All right.
Reality TV star Anna Nicole Smith exchanged vows with boyfriend Howard K. Stern on a boat near Nassau, but there was no formal marriage and the ceremony is not legally binding, her attorney Michael Scott said today.
All right.
Didn't her kid just die?
Yeah.
You'll find the timing to be a little bit peculiar?
Sure.
Oh, I thought maybe it was just me.
No.
The exchange of vows took place aboard a catamaran yesterday, 18 days after Smith's 20-year-old son Daniel died as he was visiting her at a Nassau hospital where she had given birth to a baby girl. The couple exchanged vows before God, that's...
Oh, God!
But did not obtain a marriage license, Scott told the Associated Press. Stern said he's the father of the baby of the 38-year-old former Playboy playmate. An ex-boyfriend has disagreed. Everybody wants to be that kid's daddy. The 38-year-old former Playboy playmate, it says again for the second sentence in a row, has been mourning the death of her son. Well, obviously she's in deep mourning. She sold the pictures Those pictures for what? About $700,000 to the tabloids?
Right.
And now she's getting married. 3 days earlier, her daughter was born at the same hospital where he died. She married Bill Smith in 1985, giving birth to Daniel before divorcing 2 years later. She wed Texas oil tycoon J. Howard Marshall II in 94 when she was 26 and he was a mere 89. He died the following year. She has since been involved in legal disputes over the estate. There is absolutely no question in my mind it was true love. Authorities in the Bahamas were awaiting their own toxicology results and a police report on Daniel Smith's death to determine whether a jury inquest is necessary. So he hasn't even been buried yet. And she exchanged vows with Howard Stern. Anybody really... Should we really care about this story?
No, not really. It's just...
She's a slut.
Right.
Once a slut, always a slut.
Right.
And who the hell cares about that bitch anyway?
Not me.
2 votes for Martin Sheen. He's in last place. And Jimmy Franco's got 4. Wow. Get that pizza quattro. You know, it's got like 4 different things on it. Speaking of that, speaking of food, this story, boy, I can vouch for this. It's enough to make me crazy. Like that. If you wonder why my mental state is the way it is.
Why?
Oslo teens who drank the most sugary soft drinks. Well, I don't drink sugary soft drinks, but I sure consume plenty of sugar.
Sure.
Who drank the most sugary soft drinks also had more mental health problems such as hyperactivity and distress, according to a Norwegian report yesterday. The study of more than 5,000 Norwegian 15 and 16-year-olds, don't tell Mark Foley, he'll want their pictures, showed a clear and direct association between soft drink intake and hyperactivity and a more complex link with other mental and behavioral disorders. They surveyed the students, asking them how many fizzy soft drinks with sugar they had a day, and then questions from a standard questionnaire used to assess mental health. The teens who reported skipping breakfast and lunch were among the heaviest soft drink consumers Dr. Lars Lien and colleagues at the University of Oslo found. There was a strong association between soft drink consumption and mental health problems among Oslo 10th graders, they wrote in their report, published in the American Journal of Public Health. The association remained significant after adjustment for social, behavioral, and food-related disorders. Most of the students said they drank anywhere between 1 and 6 servings of soft drinks per week. Oh, yeah, right. 1 can per week? Even Duff can do better than that. Those who drank no soft drinks at all were more likely than moderate drinkers to have mental health problems, the researchers said, but those who drank the most, more than 6 servings a week, had the highest scores. They were doing the Greg Reed routine, walking around going like that. For hyperactivity, there was a direct linear relationship. The more sodas a teen drank, the most symptoms of hyperactivity he or she had. She. So quit drinking them sugary soft drinks, baby. Sugar will drive you nuts. It'll kill you. Maybe that's why people like it says, get so hyper. That's why all those little kids are like bouncing off the wall because of all those damn sugar-laden breakfast cereals you people are feeding your little kids.
Oh, that's poison.
That is absolutely poison. And I'll tell you what I love the most is Frosted Flakes.
Oh, yeah.
I could eat a whole, not just a whole regular little box, but you know those family-style boxes like the one Al Goldstein brought in that day? Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
He brought in one that's like for a family of 10 and was eating the cereal right out of the box. Jesus, what a cow. I could do the same. Frosted Flakes. In fact, it's a damn good thing for him it wasn't Frosted Flakes he brought in, because I would have grabbed that box right out of his hand and stole it and stealed it. Man, and you talk about addictive. Woo! You can't eat only one box. Just keep shoving that down your throat. And it's pure sugar. Nothing but sugar. That's why if you feed your kids all those sugary cereals, man, they're going to go nuts. They're going to bounce off the walls. They're going to do horrible things. Then they're going to one day go to school and shoot the principal. Stuff like that. Wouldn't you think?
Or grow dreadlocks and shoot cops.
There you go. Or just eat a lot of lox and bagels on Yom Kippur right after sundown. That whole business, man, it's just all the religious, all the trappings and all the crappings, you know, all the pomp and ceremony and circumstance. It's part of the whole indoctrination process. Like the people crossing themselves. Where did I just see? Was it a jockey I just saw, or was it a ball player? I don't know. I saw it yesterday on TV, and it just made me want to vomit. Huh?
Yeah.
What is that supposed to do? In other words, the jockeys that don't cross themselves, they have a less chance of winning because if you cross yourself, God is going to push you across the finish line?
God's placing bets on the most from.
Now I see. David Frum. Boy, there's a real piece of turd. Speaking of turds, Art will imitate celebrity life on NBC's Law & Order. In an episode that begins filming this week, Chevy Chase guest stars as a TV celebrity who spews religious epithets after being pulled over by police for drunk driving. The episode titled In Vino Veritas is scheduled for November 3rd. Although there are similarities between the episode and Mel Gibson's recent legal troubles, a spokesman for NBC noted that the long-running Law & Order drama series is completely fiction. Chase 62 is a member, well, we know about that, and we know about Caddyshack. And we remember him when he used to be very funny, long ago. Gibson's latest film, Apocalypto, is slated for release in December. This is a crazy person.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
Too much booze and too much hate.
Too
Bad
much
combination.
religion. That's right.
Speaking of that, speaking of good old hate, 250,000 Iraqis have fled their homes and registered as refugees in the past 7 months. Data released yesterday shows amid an upsurge in violence that has accompanied the Ramadan holy month. Oh, it's a holy month. Let's go out. You know what? This is the best idea. And, of course, Yom Kippur is coming up Sunday at sundown. So all the different religions have their holy holidays, their holy months. Anytime it's a holy month, the best thing to do is go out and kill some people. That's right.
Gotta like you better.
The sectarian killing continued in Baghdad, where police said they found the body of 40 victims, bound, tortured, and murdered in the last 24 hours.
Kill some people.
The U.S.'s violence in Iraq has surged in the last 2 weeks, with it this week counting the most suicide bombs of any week since the war began in 2003. When a calendar says it's Ramadan, it's time to kill some people. That's it. U.S. forces predicted a surge in violence with Ramadan and have proven right so far, with bombings and clashes mounting since Sunni Muslims began observing the holy month on Saturday, on Shabbos. The registered refugee figure showed 40,000 families, 240,000 people claiming assistance, up from 27,000 families in July. The figures do not include an uncounted number of Iraqis who moved home without claiming aid. The reason for this increase is that the security situation in some provinces has deteriorated considerably, forcing people to leave their homes in fear for their lives, said Migration Ministry spokesman Sattar Nowruz. That's Ramadan, you know. It's the holidays, time to whoop it up. Like when they all slept to, where is it that they go to Mecca?
Oh, yeah.
Dean Pitney.
Sure.
Was it last year or the year before at this time in Ramadan that they had that avalanche of bodies, you know?
I think it was last year.
A little bit of a stampede last year, and a whole bunch of people died, like a lot. Whole bunch.
I think if you die in a religious stampede, though, you go to heaven.
Oh, you go straight to heaven, man. You go straight to heaven, you get a free pass. Oh, look at that. Look at these smartheads.
Tension of the Russian servicemen. Both sides
What
say
the
they
hell
don't
was
want
that?
this to escalate further, but it might. Passions always seem to run high when it comes to relations between Russia and Georgia, and this is proving no exception. Already the Russian embassy in Tbilisi has stopped issuing visas to Georgian...
I bet you up there in Aintree they don't like them commie pinkos at all. Speaking of Russia and Georgia. 1,238 votes on the poll. 12 minutes past noon. We got Mad Dog at 2 o'clock. We got a lot of heavy-duty stuff this weekend, boy. And it better not be as depressing as some of these recent weekends, man. Like 2 weekends ago when the Hurricanes lost that embarrassing game, and then when the Dolphins got their asses kicked by Buffalo, of all people. And then last week just squeaked by a little girls' team. It better be a much better weekend this weekend. Am I right?
Uh-huh.
Or what?
You're right.
We're going to be really cursed. You're going to be really cursed down there. Remember Linda Blair in The Exorcist?
Which part?
Where she was tinkling on the floor and the priest was playing on the piano?
You're going to die up there.
That's right. Speaking of I'm dying over here, it's time you took the stress and worry out of last-minute hurricane preparation. Don't wait until the big blow is coming last minute and then say, oh, I better do something, because it's usually too late. The good news is the hurricane shutter outlet manufactures easy-to-use accordion shutters. And now they even provide expert installation for you, too, if you need. Call 954-237-7083. They feature roll-downs, accordions, and panels, too. Just like the Hurricane Shutter Outlet custom make or even install shutters for you. Call them right now, 954-237-7083, and get yourself on the way to top-notch protection for this and for hurricane seasons for years to come. The Hurricane Shutter Outlet, family-owned and operated, they are licensed, insured, and Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County approved as well. They stock all sizes of clear polycarbonate hurricane panels and aluminum panels, cut to your specs and ready for pickup, delivery, or they'll even install them for you, too, like I say. The public and all contractors are welcome, major credit cards accepted, and if you mention my name, tell them that old Neil told you to call or sent you by. They'll give you $100 off on a minimum order of 350 square feet. The Hurricane Shutter Outlet. Get yourself prepared for a long, nasty, we got a long way to go season. Call 954-237-7083 or just log on to their website, hurricaneshutteroutlet.com.
The biggest names, the best talent. Okay. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
There's gas all around. There's gas all around. And WIOD, gotta help.
WIOD? Oh, I hate that station.
Attention single sports fans. Are you lonely? Do you long for a companion that's only interested in sports just like you? Well, by now you should know any chances of dating women are out. So, how about a man friend? Sports Date, the dating service for men who are only comfortable with other men. who talk about and can't keep their eyes off other men but insist they are straight, can help bring together sport hole fanatics that have the same fetish as you.
Kenny is my friend. We listen to All Sports Radio all day and go to college basketball games to cheer for somebody else's kid.
Yeah, we do. We do.
Then I dress them up like a football player and pour a bucket of water on them like a golden shower to make them sweaty.
Go. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Sports Date.
Let Sports Date help you find your dream date. Call now. 1-800-WOMEN-ARE-FOREIGN to me. That's 1-800-LICK my armpit.
Hey, guess what? George Carlin zoomed ahead of George Clooney, thank God.
How do you like that?
103 for George Carlin and 91 for the very boring George Clooney. What a great facts from our good friend Kathy from Detroit, Dick Purton's friend, although I noticed Kathy writes facts to George Perez and Neil Rogers.
Yeah.
George Perez?
Hey,
well, at least
whatever.
it ends in Z, in Z anyway.
That's close enough.
Do you know they actually say Z here?
Yeah, that's funny.
No, it's not.
It's hysterical. Come on.
Embarrassing.
Embrace
It
it.
is?
Sure, it's hysterical. I'll just say
Anyway,
it's
Kathy says, I was thinking of you last night while sitting in Norma Kent's traffic court waiting to throw myself at his mercy. The proceedings were almost as funny as your show, and you dismissed both my tickets. By the way, I did not mention your name till after he did that. Well, Kathy, you can always hold it in reserve, you know what I'm saying? She says, I was supposed to fly to Michigan in August with stops in Detroit and Beaver Island, but health concerns kept me here in South Florida. Hope you're well. Don't get to listen to the show too often these days, but think of you fondly. Best to you both, Kathy. And P.S., how about them Panthers? Yeah. That looked like I was one hell of a crowd for that. Thrashing of Chicago last night. Kind of a bad start. They were down 2-0, and the Panthers just kicked their ass, man. The pathetic Blackhawks. 6-3. I saw a little bit of that. I was looking for some fans in the stands. Didn't see too many. Don't be negative now. Don't be negative. You'll get Alan, what's his name, all upset again. Alan Cohen and his brother Marty. Now, this, talk about idiots, man. I'm not necessarily saying Alan Cohen, necessarily. Mark Cuban. Even Josh would know who that is. That's an idiot.
Okay.
You like him?
Sometimes I do.
Well, you won't like him now.
You're right.
Billionaire investor and .com veteran Mark Cuban had harsh words for YouTube, the online site that lets people share video clips, saying only a moron would purchase the wildly popular startup. How do you like that? We love YouTube, right?
For the time being.
What do you mean by that?
Oh, who knows what it's going to be, you know. Everything changes.
No. Cuban, co-founder of HDNet and owner of NBA's Dallas Mavericks, and got a mouth like a toilet, also said yesterday that YouTube would eventually be sued into oblivion because of copyright violations. They're just breaking the law, Cuban told a group of advertisers in New York. The only reason it hasn't been sued yet is because there's nobody with big money to sue. YouTube, based in San Mateo, California, specializes in serving up short videos created by everyday people. Like Sly and Family Stone would say, everyday people. You got that? I doubt it.
You know it.
You got it? Its popularity with more than 100 million video showings daily has spurred speculation the firm will be sold or taken public. There you go. Sly and the Family Stone, baby. And you do this and I do that. And where the hell is James Franco when I need him? How's Jimmy doing, by the way? Jimmy Franco.
How's Jimmy doing what?
He's got 4. Well, the reason I was a little suspicious about him is in that movie, you know, he gets it in the end. I mean, at the end of the movie. Even Josh saw that. He died in the end. I shouldn't say that. It ruins it for you. But, I mean, it's so obvious.
It's medieval times. They're all dead.
That's right. Everybody died. There was slashing and heaving and just all kinds of crap going on.
They were heaving?
Well, you'd be heaving, too, with all that blood and guts around you. But anyway, it says YouTube has come under scrutiny because users often post copyrighted material, including music videos produced by well-established artists. YouTube. Representatives were not immediately available to respond to Cuban's comments. Cuban said anyone who buys that is a moron because of potential lawsuits from copyright violations. Yeah. There's a reason they haven't gone public, they haven't sold. It's because they're going to be toasted, he said. He has sold startups to Yahoo Inc. and CompuServe. YouTube, which has nearly a third of the U.S. web video audience, 3 times that of Google, and twice that of News Corp's Charts MySpace, has been working on signing licensing deals with music companies and TV networks to ensure they're paid when users view their content. This month, YouTube unveiled its first deal to distribute music videos legally from a major music company by agreeing to a deal with Warner Music Group, home to pop stars James Blunt and Madonna. In other remarks, meanwhile, the often controversial Mark Cuban also told advertisers that the reach of YouTube is limited, especially when it comes to user-generated videos. User-generated content's not going away, he said, but you want your advertising dollars spent on a video of Aunt Jenny watching her niece tap dance? I guess it depends on what Aunt Jenny and her niece are wearing in the video. Somebody put up something really good and you get, what, 60,000 viewers he added during the event at Advertising Week in New York? YouTube now offers ads through banner ads, promotions, and sponsorships. It says it's got plans to roll out a range of different advertising options over the coming year. Cuban cautioned advertisers against investing heavily in so-called viral campaigns that are spread by users beyond their initial point of distribution on YouTube and other video sharing sites. But he touted opportunities to run commercials on high-definition TV, such as his HDNet TV network. Oh, what a surprise. What makes viral so special is it's hard to do, it's so hard to play, and it's hard to stand out, he said, describing 99% of money advertisers spending on viral campaigns as being wasted. You guys love to be the trailing edge, he said. Got a big mouth, okay? Why didn't he mind his own business? You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Because I happen to like you.
Sure. It's an excellent resource.
And we have some of that stuff on our website. Not that we put it there, you do understand.
Of course.
It's just
some we
we don't have it on our website. We have it on our MySpace page.
Correct.
So Miguel can go to jail for
so
that.
So does everyone else.
That's right. So does everybody and their brother-in-law's got that crap. So what's the big simus, Mark? Okay, pipe down, you big-mouthed goofball. Whatever he is. Goofbag. Well, there's so limited words we can say. 1,257 votes on the poll today. We apologize for not being one of those really neat polls like yesterday. That faggery, you know. Who is your most trusted celebrity? None. 383. We don't trust celebrities. Good for you. I hate this poll. Another 150. 12%. George Carlin has come from nowhere. Thank God I thought of that this morning. How the hell did he come up? We were talking about something. I think you said it.
We were.
I said, hey, you better get him on the poll. He said, hey, not a bad idea. And now he's got 106. He leads the pack. Because he used to be really great years ago. Used to be.
Sure.
George Clooney, 91. Michael J. Fox, 70. Tom Hanks, 64. Morgan Freeman, 63. Great actor, but what do we trust about Morgan Freeman? Ron Howard. I guess if you were taking money out of the ATM and Morgan Freeman was standing behind you, at least you wouldn't be nervous. See what I'm saying?
I see.
If it was that guy with dreadlocks from Lakeland, you see the difference?
Mm-hmm.
Ron Howard, 60. Susan Sarandon, 45. Oprah's got 40. That's all of the women in our crowd. Rachel Ray's got 40. So there's 80 right there. We got 80 women. James Earl Jones, 35. Mel Gibson's got 29. Jane Fonda, 18. Denzel Washington, 18. Dan Marino's got 13. How do you like that? Is that just a coincidence, you think, Josh, or is that like symbolic?
They love Danny.
Old number 13's got 13. Wow. Man, let's put Matt Sunday on there and see if he can get 13. Just kidding. Don't put him on there. Reese Witherspoon, 11. Tim Robbins, 8. Sean Penn, 7. James Franco's got 4. And Martin Sheen's got 2. Franco-American, man. I've eaten plenty of that. You know what's really good? I don't want to go through it again. Because you get nauseous every time I say it.
What? Oh,
you have to be just in the right mood.
Right.
I know.
And I'm hungry. Thanks, you're killing my appetite.
Franco-American spaghetti, man. Get a can of that. Put it in a bowl. You take like a couple of pieces of Swiss cheese. And you take a fork and smear it all together. And you put that in the microwave until the cheese all melts into the pasta, you know?
I have a better idea. Take the Swiss cheese, eat it, take the can of Franco-American and throw it at
a cat. Man, you are so negatory. It's terrifying. Ugh. Speaking of negatory and terrifying, that manhunt suspect is over with. He's dead.
Yeah.
In Polk County. Polk saw that alley, met up with him in the woods and shot him dead. He didn't look like an upstanding citizen to me. I don't know. That's probably a racial thing with me. Maybe it's the dreadlocks. I really wonder about people with dreadlocks. You know, they like wash them every now and then. Like people with turbans, like I keep telling you about some of these India cab drivers.
No, I asked, and they do take their turban off and they wash it and they rewrap.
Really?
As far as the dreadlocks go, that is another question I'd like to have the answer to.
Because I've seen some of them dreadlocks, and they look awfully schmutzy to me. I don't know.
I don't think you wash your hair with dreadlocks. I think that's how you get them to dreadlocks, if I'm not mistaken.
But you mean the schmutz?
Like by not washing
gums it together?
So in other words, if you get enough filth in there, enough... what was that movie with all the ashes falling? Remember we were talking about that?
Silent Hill.
Silent Hill. Now, I would imagine that if you started out with like a good long head of hair, after about half an hour in Silent Hill, you'd have dreadlocks.
Word.
Wouldn't you think?
Absolutely. Oh, I mean, absolutely.
I'm not paying any attention to him. Word my ass. No, seriously.
It's a big word.
Because I always see that gray schmutz there in people that have dreadlocks, and I wonder, is that like dust and stuff in there? Is it accumulated over a long period of time?
Yes.
Or did they walk through Silent Hill and get all those ashes? What is that?
It's dust in the wind.
Oh, is that what it is? 28 past noon.
2001.
At 5:60. Oh, talk about living in the past. Experience the difference at Mercedes-Benz of Pompano. Mercedes-Benz of Pompano is now under new ownership and brand new management, too. At Mercedes-Benz of Pompano, it doesn't matter what time of month you buy the vehicle, whether it's the brand new 2007 E-Class, their full-line of convertibles, or their large selection of certified pre-owned cars. When you choose Mercedes-Benz of Pompano, you've got over 200 employees dedicated to providing you with incomparable service, like complimentary loaner vehicles and complimentary car washes and lots more, too. Be sure to browse their indoor expo with over 150 new and used vehicles, or click on benzpompano.com on the wicked web. Mercedes-Benz of Pompano, they're open every day for you, Monday through Friday, 9 till 8, Saturdays, 9 to 6, and, of course, on Sunday, noon to 5. Experience the difference. Call 1-800-NEW-BENZ. You'll find them at I-95 and Copans Road. 1-800-NEW-BENZ for Mercedes-Benz of Pompano, a Mercedes-Benz dealer like no other in the world.
The biggest names of best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Friday, you bastard.
The threat of terrorists smuggling weapons aboard an airplane is real, but only one airline has the solution.
Nude West Airlines, where passengers and crew travel completely naked.
I used to be afraid to fly, but thanks to Nude West, the only thing that scares me now is getting my seatbelt securely fastened.
Oh! Nude West knows you can't smuggle anything on a plane when you're buck naked.
Yeah, I'd like to see some jihad nut job try to sneak a stick of dynamite on a Nude West flight. Nobody's that committed.
So sit back, relax, and enjoy the safest planes in the sky.
And the sexiest.
I love the flight attendants, too.
And the young fella in 15A? Ooh, talk about snakes on a plane.
Fly free of fear and free of clothing. Flying Nude West.
27 till 1 at 560 WQM. We got 1278. We'll have over 1300 by 1 o'clock, by 1300. And over 1400 by 1400.
All right.
What would happen if we stayed on till midnight? Well, let's not try it. Trent Lott. Oh, boy, what a jackass. Remember with the pom-poms and the whole deal? Who famously suggested the U.S. wouldn't have all these problems had Strom Thurmond been elected president in 1948. Said yesterday that the religious differences among Iraqis makes the conflict very difficult for him to understand. It's hard for Americans, all of us, including me, to understand what's wrong with these people. He said, why do they kill people of other religions because of religion? Why do they hate the Israelis and despise their right to exist? Why do they hate each other? Why do Sunnis kill Shiites? How do they tell the difference? Here comes the kicker. They all look the same to me. Oh.
Yeah, you Semites sure do.
Woo!
Only by the headgear can you tell them apart.
Speaking shortly after a meeting with President Bush and Vice President Cheney, well, right in line with our poll today, here's another one, another survey. And guess what magazine it is? I'll give you 85 guesses. It begins with F.
Forbes.
Forbes ranks celebrity power. This isn't Who Do You Trust? That was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
In one of her first interviews since giving birth May 27th to daughter Shiloh, Angelina Jolie says, the more children I have, the more I feel it's my duty to advocate for women and children in developing countries. Jolie, who also has a son Maddox 4 and a daughter Zahara 1, graces the cover of Forbes' annual power list of the 100 hottest movie stars, musicians, and athletes on the stands today. But she's not number one. In fact, she's tied number 35 with Jennifer Aniston, the ex-wife of Shiloh's daddy, Brad Pitt. Oh, here we go with Brangelina again. Oh, and look at that.
And it's a useful strategy because then everything is working in the expectation of a fixed deadline in which the insurgents can simply wait us out.
It's Kissinger's head in a box. That looked like one of those things you see like at the, at the circus.
The carnival there?
At the carnival, right. Like you stick your head through and put it on a stunt body?
Sure.
That's what that was. Man, if he isn't dead yet, he sure ought to be. Anyway, this list, Tom Cruise takes the list top honor. Oh, my God. The reason his lucrative... Now, this was dated June 16, okay? His lucrative $67 million back-end deal for War of the Worlds. Pitt is the only other solo actor in the top 20. Do you want to hear some of these on the list?
Sure, why not?
I've only got like 87 of them.
All right.
Tom Cruise, number one. And then they show you the pay in millions, 67. Rolling Stones, 90 million. I wonder what period of time that's for. Oprah, 225 million. Oh, U2, 110 million. Tiger Woods, 90 million. Athlete, it says. I thought he played golf. Athlete, my ass. Number 6 is Steven Spielberg, 332 million. Howard Stern, 302 million. What does it say about Howard Talking Head? 50 Cent, 41 million. The cast of Sopranos, 52. How can they have like a whole cast of a show?
Hey,
Dan Brown, 88. Bruce Springsteen, 55 million. Number 12 is Donald Trump, 44 million. Piker. Muhammad Ali, 55 million. Paul McCartney, 40 million. George Lucas, Elton John, David Letterman. George Lucas, by the way, 235 million list for him. Phil Mickelson, athlete, it says, but he plays golf. J.K. Rowling, that's that crap, 75 million. Brad Pitt, 25 million. Boy, he's a real piker, only 25. Tom Cruise, 67, and Brad Pitt, 25. Peter Jackson, director-producer. Dr. Phil McGraw, 22, 45 million. He's number 22 on the list. Jay Leno, Celine Dion, 40 million that bitch made. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Johnny Depp, 29 million. Always liked Johnny a lot, you know. Hey, Johnny, how about a loan, sweetheart? Jerry Seinfeld, 100 million. Now, that's got to be based on rerun rights or something, isn't it?
I imagine.
Simon Cowell, 43 million. Michael Schumacher, 58 million. Isn't he a race car driver? Josh?
Who?
Michael Schumacher.
Yeah.
You guys. Tom Hanks, 29 million. So he's number one on the hit parade, and the other one on the celebrity they trust the most. But as far as earnings, he's and power, and only 31. Rush Limbaugh. You know how much he's made?
About 30, man.
Last year, 30 million. Denzel Washington, Desperate Housewives. They have the whole list on there, 14 million. I sure hope they're giving it all to my boy there, Miguel, whatever his name was. What's his name? Jesse Metcalf. Jennifer Aniston, Angelina Jolie. The Olsen twins made 40 million. There's hope for everybody. Nicole Kidman, the Eagles. Eagles made 70 million. Rod Stewart. You know how much money Rod made?
About 30, man.
See, I don't know, paying millions, I don't know what that means. Is that like last year? Can't be.
I was just going to ask you, over what period of time?
Well, it doesn't say. Hey, he's number 41, Shaq, with 30.
About 30, man.
And then you got, Jessica Simpson, by the way, 14 million, of which Nick's got most of it now. He's got his hands on it, and the money, too. Neil Diamond, he's number 47. Dave Matthews Band, number 51. Tom Brady, number 52, 29 million. Hey, Tommy. Ray Romano, 34 million. Paris Hilton, 7 million. Ray Romano. Adam Sandler, 29 million. Oh, my God. J-Lo, 10 million. All you kids out there, goes to show you don't have to have any talent whatsoever, man. Maria Sharapova, 19 million. Halle Berry is number 65. Leo DiCaprio is number 67. He made 25 million. Kiefer Sutherland, who gives me spilkies, he's number 68, made 23 million. Wow. Reese Witherspoon, 75. She made a paltry 9 million. Bill O'Reilly made 9 million. He's number 76. Diddy Combs, number 79, made 16 million.
Did he?
Rachel, huh?
Did he?
Didn't. Rachel Ray, 6 million. Chef, it says for her. But she's so trusted, though. Dave Chappelle, 22 million. He ain't even working anymore. Larry the Cable Guy, 19 million. Regis is number 86 with 21 million. Boy, he's way down there considering he works like 100 jobs. Mm-hmm. Wow. And poor Serena Williams, she's number 87. She only made a paltry 10 million. So there you go. Those are the most... I guess, see, it's not ranked in terms of how much they made, obviously. Celebrity power. Rhymes with shower. That'd be a good question. What celebrity would you like to take a shower with, besides James Franco? How's Jimmy doing, by the way? He's got 4 votes. We're going to divide them up just like a pizza pie. Get out one of them pie cutters. Get out one of them box cutters like they had on the plane, you know? Martin Sheeney's got a couple of votes. We got almost 1,300 already. We got 1,298. That's kind of great. Not
the
bad.
biggest names, the best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Yank it, baby.
Good morning, Americans. It's Paul Harvey. Stand by for news. Adam Miller of Utica, New York, was showing off his new sports car to his girlfriend, Cindy McGillen. Cindy was thrilled at the speed of the new car. Adam said, "If I do 100, will you take your clothes off?" "Sure," said Cindy. Well, as Adam got it up to 100, sure enough, Cindy peeled off all her clothes. Unable to keep his eyes on the road, Adam skidded off the road and flipped the car over. The naked girl was thrown clear, but Adam was jammed beneath the steering wheel. "Go and get help," he pleaded. "But I can't," said Cindy. I'm naked and my clothes are gone." "Take my shoe," said Adam, "and cover yourself." Holding the shoe over her intimate area, Cindy ran down the road and found a service station. Still holding the shoe between her legs, she pleaded to the service station proprietor, "Please help me. My boyfriend Adam is stuck." The proprietor looked at the shoe and said, "There's nothing I can do. He's in too far." Paul Harvey. Good day. Good day. 12:46, 14 till 1 at QAM. Here's a fax that says, if you like Franco-American with melted Swiss cheese, try some Chef Boyardee mini ravioli with some melted mozzarella cheese on it.
Says, let's get George. He won't like it. He hates everything to try it. Yeah, George is like Mikey in reverse.
Yeah.
We'll get George to try it. He hates everything.
Yeah.
I don't know what's...
I like Luxembourg.
Yeah, me too. I don't know what's not to like. Yeah, let's have some Luxembourg for Yom Kippur. What do you say? Sunday after sundown. God. All the Getskis all the time. All the silly, all the bubble mices. Speaking of that, Saudi authorities, you know those real civilized Saudi Arabians, our good Democratic friends?
Our buddies.
Saudi authorities arrested 20 young men after raiding a suspected gay wedding in the southern town of Jizan, a newspaper reported yesterday or Wednesday. The detainees, who were among some 400 men attending the wedding party of 2 men on Tuesday, had been emulating women, the Al-Watan newspaper said. In all, some 250 people were detained in the police raid on the party, but the rest were later released. Police had arrested the wanted people and released those who have nothing to do with the matter, the paper quoted a police commander as saying. Some guests were also seen chewing QAT, quat.
Okay.
What? An illegal narcotic widely used in neighboring Yemen, it said.
Yaman.
No, Yemen. On a hill above the square where the party was being held, Al-Watan said, homosexuality is illegal in conservative Saudi Arabia, which metes out strict punishments based on Sharia or Islamic law. If found guilty, the men will be executed at Chop Chop Square, off of their head. Another fax. Boy, a lot of faxes today. It says, don't you like the Pope's new lovely red, wide-brimmed hat? He just needs to borrow some tangerine lip gloss from Peter Graves. He'll be right to go.
I'm sure he's got his own makeup kit.
Oh, I'm sure of that. I'm sure he's got some lovely gloss. Yeah, now, have you seen that spot with Peter Graves, the Geico spot?
No, not yet.
Haven't?
No.
Where he says he put on some tangerine lip gloss and opened the door and realized he was the luckiest woman in the world, or whatever the hell that was. It's kind of cute. Oh, my God, speaking of celebrities earning money, you're going to puke your guts out when you find this, when you hear this. Well, although I'm not so sure if you can't stand this one. I know you hate Robert Downey Jr. like poison.
Yeah.
Although this one reminds me of him a little bit. After 2 months of negotiations, 2.5 Men star Charlie Sheen is close to finalizing a new salary pact that will make him the highest-paid comedy star in television today.
Oh, my God.
I don't have a problem with Charlie.
Oh?
No.
Sources said Sheen will earn about $350,000 per episode this season from the producer of CBS powerhouse Warner Brothers TV. This represents a hefty increase from his previous payday in the low six figures. Sources said CBS is kicking in some money for the pay raise for Sheen, as has become common practice for networks and high-level actor renegotiation deals. Sheen is also known to have a significant profit participation stake in the series, now in its 4th season. 2.5 Men. Never seen it. You seen it?
No.
Josh?
Never.
Never heard of it. The top of the sitcom actor pay scale remains the nearly $2 million per episode Ray Romano pulled in for the final season of CBS's Everyone Loves Raymond in 2004 and 5. I seen a little bit of that, and I hated it. I'd give him $2 million just to shut it off. Sheen began renegotiating his deal in July, shortly after Warner Brothers entered lucrative deals to sell the syndication rights to the Tribune broadcasting stations and to FX for cable effective 2010 for 2.5 Men. Speaking of that story from Saudi Arabia, American Airlines Flight 45 departing Charles de Gaulle at 10:40 a.m., arriving at JFK at 1 each afternoon is a tourist's delight. Time just right to avoid late checkout, leaving in time for one last drink. It says Le Deux Majot, whatever. Who knows this French crap, right? I'm not reading that.
Mm-hmm.
On August 22nd, the coach cabin was packed with vacationing New Yorkers. Ralph Jackson and David Leisner in seats 21A and B were returning from 2 weeks in France, while Huffa Forbes Cross, 21F, had stopped over in Paris on his way back from South Africa.
Huffa?
Assigned to seats 20A and B were George Ticcaselli, that's it, Ticcaselli, a television journalist, and his writer boyfriend, Stephen Varnier. We've been together only 4 months, Ticcaselli said last week, so it felt like a honeymoon. 12 days earlier, British police had foiled a terrorist plot to blow up airliners. Heightened security had delayed the flight by about 2 hours, and passengers, by the time they boarded, were ready to relax. I had a Jose Saramago book I was looking forward to reading, Leisner said, and then I was going to take some melatonin and have a little nap. Shortly after takeoff, Varnier nodded off, leaning his head on Ticcaselli. A stewardess came over to their row. The purser wants you to stop that, she said. I opened my eyes and was like, stop what? Varnier recalled the other day. The touching and the kissing, the stewardess said before walking away.
Just walk away.
Kind of like that scene where they're on the train in Talented Mr. Ripley, and Matt Damon keeps putting his head on Jude Law's shoulder, you know? You remember that?
I do.
Ticcaselli and Varnier were taken aback. He could rest his head on my shoulder or the other way around. We'd kiss, not kiss, just moi, he recalled, making a smacking sound. Moi. In the row behind them were Leisner and Jackson. They were like two lovebirds, said Leisner, who was a classical guitarist. Frobes Cross, a Columbia grad student who was sitting across the aisle, had overheard the stewardess's decree, too. First thing I catch is, you have to stop touching each other, he said, and I'm like, wow, that's really weird. Leisner and Jackson, who were astounded, leaned forward to ask if they'd heard correctly. When Ticcaselli and Varnier confirmed that they had, the foreman summoned a stewardess asked to speak with the purser. A little bit later, the purser appeared at row 20. She was, by all accounts, calm and professional. To the men's surprise, she said she knew nothing about the incident, had not instructed the stewardess to tell Ticcaselli and Varnier to stop touching each other. Which stewardess was it, she asked. One of the men pointed out the stewardess, a woman with, as Jackson put it, Texas hair, like from the 1960s. According to Leisner, the purser rolled her eyes and said, "Oh, say no more, I know." The purser asked the men to describe what they'd been doing, and she acknowledged that their behavior had not been inappropriate. Ticcaselli then asked the stewardess if the stewardess would have made the request if the kissers had been a man and a woman. Suddenly, Leisner said the purser became very rigid. Contradicting what she told them before, she stiffly said, "Kissing is inappropriate behavior on an airplane." She then said that she was busy with the meal service and promised to come back. Half an hour later, the purser returned, this time saying that some passengers had complained about Ticcaselli and Varnier's behavior earlier. The men asked more questions. Who had complained? She couldn't say. Could they have the stewardess's name or employee number? No. Would the purser arrange for an American Airlines representative to meet them upon landing at JFK? Not possible. Finally, the purser said that if they didn't drop the matter, the flight would be diverted. After that, Leisner said everyone shut up for a while. Maybe an hour later, the purser approached Ticcaselli and said that the captain wanted to talk to him. He went up to the galley and gave the captain his business card. The captain told Ticcaselli that if they didn't stop arguing with the crew, he would indeed divert the plane. "I want you to go back to your seat and behave the rest of the flight, and we'll see you in New York," he said. Ticcaselli returned to a coach. Tim Wagner, a spokesman for American, said that the stewardess's injunction to the men was reasonable and would have been made whether the couple was gay or straight. Our passengers need to recognize that they're in an environment with all ages, backgrounds, creeds, and races. We have an obligation to make as many of them feel as comfortable as possible, he said. He added, "Our understanding is that the level of affection was more than a quick peck on the cheek." It was a quick peck on the... Well, anyway. But a customer service representative named Terry reached last week on the telephone, offered the opinion that kissing on airplanes is indeed permissible. "Oh, yeah, sure, I've seen couples who are on honeymoon," she said. "They just don't want you to go into the bathroom together." Well, that's why they have those little tiny bathrooms. Kind of tough to do anything in there.
Not really.
In one of those Pink Panther movies, remember when Peter Sellers had the broken leg?
Yeah.
And was sitting with his...
What is it, like a broken everything? Like an arm up on a...
Yeah, his whole body was in a cast, and he was trying to do his number in the airplane tea room. That was beautiful. 1,325 votes. Holy moly, Rat Man. How do you like that? And George Carlin is just pulling away.
The biggest names of best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
It's the 1 to 2 hour.
Good morning. America faces a grave threat, stability and security. And our government is doing everything in its power to confront and defeat that threat. We are expanding and strengthening terrorism. These efforts are paying off. We have established the terrorists from the mountains of Central Asia to the deserts of the Middle East, and from the Horn of Africa to the Philippines. There is more to do. In the next several months, suicide bombings, beheadings, and other horrific acts can and should be accelerated, and we're working toward that goal. We're doing everything in our power to invite disaster, and by staying focused and determined, we will prevail. Thank you for listening.
All right. Let's abuse some more prisoners. Make them scream nice and loud.
Absolutely.
Get me some wires and a battery pack. I don't care if they ain't from Iraq. Should be used to the torture. 'Cause they're just playing their game. In the past, it had to be worse with Saddam Hussein.
1 o'clock at 560 WQM. Mr. Mad Dog will be here at 2 o'clock. And then the Humper from New York. Now, what's that race? I forgot to Google it. Maybe it's the Metropolitan Handicap. Maybe it's the Woodward Stakes. Maybe it's the, I don't know what the hell it is.
Roll the dice.
Yeah, whatever the hell it is. Some big horse race in New York, and Hank's going to be there this weekend to cover it with a blanket. Well, he's big enough to cover it. Unless there's a few of more than like 18 starting. Speaking of horse racing, Louisville, Kentucky. How do you like that? Was that a pretty accidental segue or what, huh?
That was
Miracle.
pretty weak.
Just like my psychic thing at Woodbine on Wednesday.
By the way, thank you, Kathy. She sent me a fax apologizing for getting my name wrong. No big deal.
Hey, listen, Mr. Perez. Maybe she thought you were kin to Pervert Musharraf, or at least
Maybe.
the pervert part. Now, she's just pissed off because you won't try the Franco-American spaghetti with the Swiss cheese in it.
She's right.
You'd like it, I'm telling you right now.
I want Franco mush.
It is mushy. There's no question about that. It's real mushy.
Why would I eat that when I could have some good Dreamfield firm pasta with
That's
Swiss
correct.
cheese melted on it?
That's a good idea. I had that, I think, yesterday, as a matter of fact, for launch. Can I get back to Louisville, please?
Please.
U.S. Army officials are taking a close look at whether women in a Kentucky National Guard unit posed nude for pictures with their M16s and other military equipment, authorities say. A local newspaper reported that it had a disc containing 232 of the photos, which they did not publish and do not plan to publish. Editor and publisher has learned.
Damn it.
Yeah, and everybody's saying, where the hell did we find them? Andrew Wolfson, who disclosed, I bet you they're going to be on YouTube before long. Eat your heart out, Mark Cuban. Andrew Wolfson disclosed the existence of the disc in the Louisville Courier-Journal today, told editor and publisher, came from an anonymous source. Oh, isn't that always the way it is? Did we find out any more about this principle or what?
Stay with CNN. We'll keep you updated.
Okay, thanks. This is not the kind of activity condoned by the command leadership of the Kentucky National Guard. Lieutenant Colonel Phil Miller, a spokesman for the Kentucky Guard, told the newspaper. Well, why not? The allegations were reported to the commander of the 410th Quartermaster Unit a week or so before the company shipped out for Iraq August 26th from Camp Shelby Miss. The newspaper reported a compact disc contained 232 photos of at least a half a dozen nude and semi-nude women in various poses with military rifles and covering their breast with American flag decals. An email said the women photographed were from the Kentucky Guard. Miller said 11 of the 107 soldiers who deployed with the Danville-based unit are women. The CD containing the photos was sent to the paper via mail from an anonymous source after doing background checks and some investigating. The source was deemed credible. When questioned about the photos, Wolfson added military officials did not ask to see them or get the paper's copy. He assumes, therefore, that the military has its own copy. Several TV outlets have asked the paper to release the photos, but Wolfson says, we've been asked for it by several TV outlets, but obviously haven't given it. Well, when's it going to be on? Get a 90 share, easy.
I know.
It's either that or back. I just get spilkies looking at that bitch. It's unclear where the photographs were taken, but some of the women are shown wearing dog tags. And in many photos, and probably some of them deservedly, in many photos, recent inoculations like those given in preparation for service abroad are visible. One woman was photographed partially clad in a military uniform. Her last name is visible on the blouse. Site said the Kentucky Guard wouldn't confirm whether a woman with that name works in the unit. Lieutenant Colonel Rich Steele, a spokesman for the 1st Army at Fort Gillem, Georgia, said if the allegations are proved, punishment could range from informal reprimands to courts-martial. He said the investigation is being conducted in Iraq. Major Dylan Seitz, a staff lawyer for the Kentucky Guard in Frankfort, said commanders there don't know how many soldiers allegedly were involved, who took the pictures, or how they were distributed. Marcia Weinstein, former executive director of the Kentucky Commission on Women, said it would be hypocritical to punish women involved when there's a long history of male soldiers posting pinups in their lockers, and of the U.S. military flying in female sex symbols to entertain mostly male troops. I don't think these women should be court-martialed, she told the Courier-Journal. Yeah, they ought to get like some kind of a medal.
Absolutely.
Quartermaster units provide logistics and supply support for other troops, it said.
I know just where to pin it, too.
Yeah, I know where you can pin it.
Rectum.
Mm-hmm. This is kind of interesting, I thought. Movie rentals show our tastes are similar. The only problem is that the right-hand margin of this is chopped off bad. So I'm going to like fumpy and fumble. That's okay, because it's not like a real serious story. It says, movie rentals show our tastes are similar. You believe that?
I guess I got no choice. That's what the story says.
Does it sometimes seem like Netflix knows your taste better than your friends, your spouse, or even you would ask? You loved it, the DVD rental site will remind you, offering a movie for sale that, yes, by golly, you did love. Now they can tell you what everyone else loves, too. A new feature lets you pop in a zip code to find out what's popular anywhere from Anchorage to Kalamazoo to Tennessee to anywhere else recognized by the post office. You have to take the Netflix folks at their word. A Los Gatos, California-based company doesn't give out specific numbers, but it's an entertaining look at taste across the country. New Yorkers, perhaps not surprisingly, seem to like French films about, what? A lot, but not as much as films about New York. Well, I'm trying to read the, in Miami, Cuban films dominant list and so on.
Incredible.
Like Eating Raoul. And yet an important caveat, the geographical location gives you not the top rentals in a particular area, only gives you the titles people there ordered much more than other Netflix members. And so we wondered if would a straight top rentals list, what would a straight top rentals list look like for various areas? Would the same interesting regional qualities play a role? The answer, not so much. Turns out we all pretty much like the same things. Yeah, that's what you think. Crash, for example. The surprise Oscar winner about racial strife in L.A. was number one not only in L.A., but also one of the lists we asked Netflix for Boston, New York City, Billings, Montana, Albany, and in Miami. In Mobile, Alabama, came in number 2, Crash. Mobile's first choice, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the film that spawned Brangelina, was in the top 3 on all lists, except for Boston, where it came in number 5, and so on. The Johnny Cash biopic, Walk the Line, was in the top 10 everywhere except Miami. Yep. Hotel Rwanda, about the 1994 genocide in Rwanda, was one of the top 10 everywhere except Mobile. Clint Eastwood's $1 Million Baby and the Vince Vaughn Owen Wilson buddy comedy Wedding Crashers were universally popular. This is marginally interesting, you don't think?
It is, marginally.
Pirates of the Caribbean is going to work everywhere, says John Fithian, president of the National Association of Theater Owners, of the Johnny Depp vehicle. That's the year's biggest hit. But there are enough differences to be statistically relevant. Family pictures, for example, rate a few percentage points better in the middle of the country. R-rated fare plays better on the coast. Foreign films play better in big cities but are spreading somewhat. Foreign films. Those foreigners. The new Netflix features stem from internal research the company was already doing. He wouldn't give out the numbers. Steve Swassey, spokesman for Netflix, but said the weekly lists are tabulated using a complex analyzation of how members add and subtract from their cues. Scientific or not, the results are often intriguing and show that in many but not all areas we like to watch, well, ourselves. To wit, this week in Alaska, Northern Exposure tops the list in both Fairbanks and Juneau. That's the TV series about quirky Sicily, Alaska. Sicily? I don't know. Sicily?
Yes.
I thought that was by Italy. In Phoenix, people love Kevin Costner and Wyatt Earp Special Edition, which featured Tombstone, Arizona. In Washington, D.C., a documentary on a local drug dealer tops the list. In Hawaii, it's a film about surfing, staged in Hawaii. In Savannah, Georgia, number 2 is Eastwood's Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil about the city's infamous murder case. In New York City, Rick Burns' historical series New York tops the list. New York Stories is up there. And it goes on. Well, that's kind of interesting. But nobody in Miami, Walk the Line was not big. That's because we don't have that many yahoos, rednecks in Miami.
Right.
Who speak English. We do have a lot of rednecks, but most of them don't speak English. That's what you're always saying.
Right.
Just quoting you.
That's correct.
Uh-oh, the shooter is a student at the school, but this must be Wisconsin, Casanova.
The students from in the grades pre-K through 8.
Didn't they say before it was a former student at the school? They lied.
After the police arrived and secured the building, they were sent home on school buses. The 9 through 12 students were taken to...
15-year-old student who shot the principals in custody. 15-year-old kid with a gun, okay? Punks with guns, crazy people with guns. That's the American way. Who is your most trusted celebrity? That's our dumbass poll question today. And in spite of being dumbass, we're going to have 1,400 votes by the time we get the hell out of here at 2 o'clock. Aren't you impressed? I am.
Medium.
For a piece of crap poll like this. Well, none. 416, mister. 30.7%. I hate this poll. Another 157. There's another 11.6%. So there's over 42% right there between none and I hate this poll. George Carlin, who came out of nowhere, 124 votes. That's because we have a good memory. George Clooney, 96. Michael J. Fox, 71. Tom Hanks, 70. Morgan Freeman, 66. Ron Howard, 62. Susan Sarandon, 45. Rachel Ray, 44. Oprah, 43. Well, I bet she's not going to be too happy. Rachel's edging her ass out. James Earl Jones, 35. Mel Gibson, 32. Jane Fonda, 18. Denzel Washington, 18. Dan Marino, 16. Tim Robbins, 13. Reese Witherspoon's got lucky 13. And she sure got lucky when she married, what's his name, Ryan Philippe, who's much prettier than she was. He's not fine. Sean Penn's got 8. James Franco's still 4. We still got him divided up into quarters. And Martin Sheen's got only 3 out of 1356. I thought you had a problem with Martin Sheen.
No, not me.
Oh. Just Robert Downey Jr., who you hate like poison and wish would croak a wicked death?
Yes. I'd like to help him.
Even worse than Keanu Reeves, huh?
Yes.
Hey, Keanu.
You fairy.
He's from Toronto, by the way. You know that, Keanu Reeves?
No, I did not.
Well, it goes to show you that no place in the world is perfect.
The biggest names, the best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Friday, you bastard.
1, 2, 3, here. Well, did you hear about the Muslims and what they've done?
Are you sure?
They set fire to some churches. They shot and killed a nun. They say they're not really violent. Benedict 16. Benedict 16. You fairy. What did he say? And make those Muslims so angry and act that way. Maybe it's because he's from Germany. He ties his shoes in little Nazis. Benedict 16. Now they're protesting in Kashmir. They're all going insane. It's the Prophet Muhammad. They say the Pope defamed. All over the Middle East, they're burning effigies. All those Muslims I'm mad at. Benedict 16. All those Muslims I'm mad at. Benedict 16.
Rhymes with silly old queen with nice red shoes. Speaking of that, the Vatican's foreign minister said this week that misunderstanding between cultures is breeding a new barbarism, and expressed that reason and dialogue would stop those who use their faith as a pretext for attacks. Well, better be a late learner than never learn at all, I guess. In a speech on the closing day of the UN General Assembly's ministerial meeting, Giovanni Laholo said extremists are far from devout and undermine the very religion they claim to defend. Violent reactions are always a falsification of true religion, Laholo said in a passage devoted to the Pope's September 12th speech at Regensburg University in Germany that got the Muslims all whipped up into a frenzy. Laholo suggested the anger may also lie in a lack of understanding between religions and a schism between reason and faith. Oh, yeah. Well, you just aren't spiritual, Neil. That's why you don't understand any of this stuff.
Yeah.
If you just had a little more on the spiritual side, if you could just be a little more Jewish and kissy-kissy to Israel and all those butchers over there, then we'd like you a lot more. Too bad. Wait till you hear this. This is the most bizarre, really bizarre. Color experts. Now, what paper is this in? This is, the Seattle Times. Well, that figures. Color experts. Did you know that there was such a thing as color experts?
Yeah, I guess there are.
Including a Bainbridge Island woman looked into their cups and saw the future. It says Seattle clearly has credibility when it comes to coffee. What you might not realize is that coffee, or rather coffee giant Starbucks, can claim partial credit for another cultural trend. The rich, deep brown likely cluttering your closet, covering your sofa, even sitting in your flower vase. Is that brindle brown they're talking about?
I don't know.
In the mid-1990s, when Starbucks was popping up everywhere, most people found themselves buying glammed-up coffee. But color forecaster and Bainbridge Island resident Leatrice Eisman spotted something else going on. She's a color forecaster. Eisman, executive director of Pantone Color Institute, noticed a change in public's attitude, especially among the younger generation, toward the color dark brown, which previously had an earthy utilitarian reputation, as in a dark brown splotch on your pants like that story yesterday. Now in word association studies, people describe brown as rich and robust as opposed to dirt or earth or schmutz. Eisman thought this was no coincidence. Brown coming in a more elegant kind of way can truly be attributed to Starbucks, she said. When are they going to put this woman in a padded cell? Do you really believe this crap?
No.
She says they literally invented this whole new concept of it's not a cup of coffee, it's espresso. Eisman is part of a specialized group of professional forecasters who are the invisible force influencing what colors walk down the runway and the shade of paint on your living room walls. They spot concrete phenomena, such as Starbucks, that power a trend and come up with a forecast. Well, yeah, listen, this is important, important
writing it all
stuff.
Down.
God.
I'm going to print that story up. Put it in my pocket.
It's got even a timeline here. 1995 to today, brown shows up in interiors early and is still strong today, as in this dark brown sectional sofa from ABC Home that it shows. Then 2005 to 2007, rich browns, as in these hot chocolate callas. What's C-A-L-L-A-S?
Callas?
Are getting attention at nurseries and supermarkets. Are you callous?
I got ring around the callus.
Forecasters once handed down color predictions that were treated like edicts. Homeowners are still suffering the after effects of the 1970s-era avocado. But there's more to a trend than declaring a color and expecting consumers to follow. Avocado, ugh. I don't want to eat it. I don't want to look at it. The environmental movement, for example, is fueling green's popularity. Forecasters noted the public's tolerance for the shade rose in the 1990s. Post-avocado, people had little patience for green, and the growing popularity of environmentalism has made a green symbolic and more acceptable color. Likewise, the Starbucks-inspired deep, rich brown has cycled through clothes and the home. Oh, if there's brown cycling through your clothes, you better get a bag. Now cosmetic lines such as Bobby Brown have chocolate collections. Bobby Brown?
Cute.
You have got to be kidding. That's what it says.
Hey there, people, I'm Bobby Brown. They say I'm the cutest boy in town. My car is fast, my teeth are shiny. I tell all the girls they can kiss my hiney. Here I am at a famous school. I'm dressing sharp and I'm acting cool. I got a cheerleader here, wants to help with my paper. Better do all the work and maybe later I'll raise.
Now, cosmetic lines such as Bobby Brown have chocolate collections. All of this is Eisman, who's been in the forecasting business for 25 years. What do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a color forecaster. Demonstrates a color trend with staying power. What's astounding to me, she says it keeps gaining more and more momentum. It's getting the big mo. The building blocks of color forecasting, which include pop culture, economics, and technology, are visible everywhere, but you have to know where to look. It's not mysterious, says Deborah de Beauchamp, a fashion marketing professor at the Art Institute of Seattle. It's an awareness of the mood of the times, the essence of the times, the zeitgeist of the times. They're trying to figure out where these colors are moving from and where they're moving toward. Color prediction as a separate industry took root in this country during WW1. Milliners once set the color trends based on the styles emerging from Paris and Germany, but with the war, they lost their pipeline of the latest trends, and wool and silk manufacturers decided to release their own color forecasts. This is a whole world that we don't know anything about. How depressing. That led to the creation of what became the Color Association of the U.S., now one of three main color forecasting groups, along with Pantone Color Institute and the Color Marketing Group. The groups are made up of professionals from industries including automotive, home fashion, and others who regularly develop predictions and choose colors and palettes a year or two in advance. The main difference among the three is their forecasting methods, and different industries depend on different groups. But their influence is undeniable. Their handiwork keeps color modern and streamlines the shopping experience at the mall, at the auto dealership, and at the big box stores. Oh, yeah, who doesn't want a nice dark brown car, right?
Right.
They call the colors of the world, the Beauchamp said. You see the pipeline working that way. You see colors happening in high-end manufacture. You're going to see it in Target in less than a year and continuing into Walmart and Kmart. Eisman was leafing through Variety magazine several years ago when a vivid yellow-green popped out at her for an ad from the 2001 animated movie Shrek, still in production at the time. I looked at the color of Shrek and I thought, whoa, that's amazing, she said. The color had been out of circulation for years, but Eisman knew that the environmental movement had made green more acceptable and that children are more open to whimsical colors. Other factors sealed it for her that this was a color to watch. Children watch beloved films endlessly on video. Shrek probably would have a sequel. In fact, number 3 is coming out the next year. Another movie, Monsters, Inc., had a character sporting the same green. Eisman felt she had plenty of reason to believe that the movie would be a phenomenon and it would take the color along with it. The bright yellow-green color trickled into the adult market, too, as parents were influenced by what their kids watched and started to accept it in their own wardrobes. In fact, George and Josh are both dressed up in yellow-green today. I wouldn't be surprised. Forecasters are quick to note that their projections are simply guidelines, which consumers and manufacturers will modify. The Color Association of the U.S. comes up with 24 colors in the fashion forecast, said Director Margaret Walsh. Only a few will turn out to be big sellers, but all the colors will be used in some way. But obviously the big one now is dark brown. So if you have like an accident in your pants, just say, hey, I'm a fashion plate. I'm making a fashion statement, right? Huh?
You call it runway marks.
Yeah, right. Of course, maybe your fashion statement stinks, but that's beside the point. We're going to make 1,400 votes today. Are you impressed or what? On a poll that they obviously have nothing but disgust and distaste for. 1384, and James Franco is still back there on the bottom. Boy, he sure spent a lot of time down there, you know? I know what you're thinking. I'm
not thinking anything of the sort.
Anybody I like immediately is, that's it.
No,
anybody.
That's not my wishful thinking.
Yeah.
I could really give a crap less.
There you go. And I'm sure neither could he. So what's the big deal? Okay.
Nothing.
Remember that song? I Can Dream, Can't I? Who did that? The Cordettes?
We'll find out.
The McGuire sisters? You aren't going to have that. I Can Dream, Can't I? It's way before you were born. I think they were singing that on the hit parade, Snooki Lanston and Giselle McKenzie. You don't have it, do you? Well, that's the Carpenters.
Yeah. Obviously not the original.
No. Hey, Karen, have a little piece of lettuce. Have some watercress, sweetheart.
No.
Anyway, that's as much as I can.
Have a little hot air on rye, something like that. What a shame about her, you know. And actually, on this show, we admit that we like the Carpenters, even though most of you do like the Carpenters and are too much of a bunch of wusses to admit it.
I admit it. The biggest names, the best
even
talent.
Josh likes the Carpenters.
Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560, QA.